Thank you. It is May the 21st, and this is the regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors of the Port of the Islands Community Improvement District. And as is your custom here, I'll ask you to stand and we'll recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. We should note today that as part of the roll call, we have 4 members who are physically present, and I believe Mr. Truckee is by Zoom today on the phone. Dan, are you there?
He's there, he's muted.
Okay. Then in just a minute, when we vote to approve today's agenda, that motion will include and to allow Supervisor Truckee to participate by telephone or Zoom call, citing extraordinary circumstances. I don't have any additions to the agenda. And otherwise, the supervisors are available to discuss their items under item 10 or 12 today. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I approve. I'll make a motion.
Second,
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for that. And as part of the approval process today, and behind the first tab there is a amendment to our administrative rules of procedure as they pertain to decorum and public comment and whatnot. These have previously been workshopped. There is a resolution that Zach has drafted for me that I'll need to get the chairman to sign if these are adopted. Zach, you want to just provide kind of a brief overview here of the intent?
Sure. If you recall, we talked about this several meetings ago, but then we had some mismatch of meetings as far as running the notice. But this is an administrative hearing, so we'll take comments specifically on this item from the public and from you all to implement a rules of procedure, rules of decorum into your rules of procedure. Let me pull up the draft. Neil, did you say the draft is behind manager?
The draft is behind the agenda index there. It's a 2-page document.
So we did not receive any feedback since the workshop on this, and so the language is materially unchanged from that point. It addresses general standards for participating in these meetings. It sets a 5-minute per speaker limit on comment. It has some prohibited conduct, all aimed towards just trying to keep the meeting civil and focused. But of course, it is acknowledging the overarching applicability of the First Amendment, and so this is not in any way attempting to stop anyone from commenting about whatever they want to comment about. It is trying to organize comment so that it's easier to preserve the record, and so you all can have productive meetings. One of the critical functions. There's a little bit of echo here. One of the critical functions of these meetings is, as a result of the Sunshine Law, this is the only time you all can talk to each other, talk to your consultants in front of each other, and get the feedback you need to make the decisions that you're being asked to make as supervisors. And so, for that reason, it's very important that the meeting be as organized as possible. So that's kind of a high-level overview. Again, the rules are in the packet. They are unchanged since the workshop. Does any supervisor have any questions about this direction of the draft?
I don't.
If not, I think it'd be important, Neil, we need to, because it's a public hearing that was noticed, if there's any public comment on this item for the hearing, we should entertain that at this time.
Yeah, any members of the public, this is a fairly straightforward document that talks about civility and respect for residents of the community or people who attend public meetings. There is prohibited conduct that runs the ranks of yelling or shouting, threatening, profanity, vulgarity, personal attacks leading up to and including harassment or threatening statements or behavior, things that, you know, pretty much recognized in 2026 for public comment. The balance of the proposal has to do with providing the chair or the providing officer. In this case, it would typically be me. I help facilitate the pace of the meetings to take whatever appropriate action, you know, would be necessary, outdoor warnings. If things ever got out of hand in a public meeting like this, the normal course of action would be to recess the meeting, call law enforcement, let them deal with whatever particular problem that we might have, and then contingent on the chair to reconvene the meeting, you know, at an appropriate time. Pretty straightforward. Yes, ma'am, if you don't mind coming to the front, our meetings are transcribed.
Simple question. Is this
Our meetings are transcribed, and they won't otherwise be able to get your name.
Is this just similar to Robert's Rule of Order? Yolanda DiBartolo, is this more advanced than Robert's Rule of Order?
It's not Robert's Rules of Order because it's not just addressing how they make motions and how they conduct business. It's specifically as to, I guess I would say, everyone's conduct in the meeting itself.
Okay.
So this is not Robert's Rules of Order.
Okay.
But it is not atypical. A lot of CDDs and cities and counties have versions of this that are either more or less than what we're proposing here. For example, some CDDs specifically put in here the ability to say if a bunch of people are talking about the same topic that they need to condense into one or two people speaking as to that topic. We didn't do that here. This is not trying to reduce the volume, it's trying to organize, as I understand it.
Any other public comment? If not, then you can entertain a motion to close the public hearing and to authorize the chairman to execute resolution 2026-2 and the associated amendment to the rules of procedure that are part of the record. Is there a motion?
I can make that motion.
You want to second it?
And there's the
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Item 3 today are other public comments that we encourage for items that may not be on the agenda. There's no one who is signed up or registered in advance. Do we have any other public comments this morning? Yeah, again, if you don't mind just standing so that you can be recognized and name and here we go.
My name is Liliana Manta. I live on 125 Newport Drive, and I have sent the board as well as the council and the management company an email regarding this building. And in my email, I think I was very specific with exact details, but I do want to address it here with a shorter version of it, if I'm allowed to.
5 minutes?
Go right ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to start off, of course, say good morning to everyone. I want to express my serious concerns regarding this building project, and the address here is 24998 Newport Drive. Based on my communications with Kevin Beard and Elise Hansen.
Could you speak up or can't hear me?
Sure, no problem. I'll start again.
I want to express my serious concerns regarding this building project.
And the address here is 24998 Newport Drive. Based on my communication with Kevin Beard and Elise Hansen, and frankly, it appeared that demolition, electrical, plumbing, and renovation work was being discussed and initiated before a finalized lease agreement was in place, and before the required Collier County permits had been obtained. I privately raised these concerns that this exposes CID in our community to unnecessary legal, financial, and liability risks. Unfortunately, these concerns were dismissed. Residents deserve transparency regarding the lease terms, project costs, permits, and long-term financial obligation tied to this project. On March 30th, the board discussed leasing this building for approximately $1,500 per month as a quote-unquote opportunity to test whether the community would use it. about $500 per month. And I was personally told earlier this year that the community may have been able to use the building at no cost. Then on April 16th, the CID discussed spending approximately $40,000 on improvements. That did not include additional electrical, plumbing, and container costs that I estimate adding another $7,000. Bring the total closer to about $50,000. Council also acknowledged that if the lease ended, those improvement costs would not be recovered. In my opinion, this has become an extremely expensive test that residents were never asked to vote on, while other important community infrastructures continue to be neglected. I believe residents deserve full transparency regarding this project, and I also believe accountability matters for those who move forward with renovation work without the proper permits. Thank you. And then one last thing, please. Last thing I want to say is that the CID approved $40,000 for improvements to a building we do not even own. Yet, could not approve spending roughly $50 to replace the ribbed flag on the outside pole that actually belongs to the CID. So here's another donation from me. That speaks volumes about the board's priorities. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Yes, Sam, and again, if you will, just come forward.
My name is Linda. I live in Newport. Can everyone hear me? No. No, but talk louder. So, I've got two different issues. One is the CID website is not updated. If you go look on it at today for the meetings, today's date is not listed there. And I would not have known about this if I hadn't read about it on Nextdoor. And constantly the board is saying, we do not post information on Nextdoor about what happens with the CID. And if I hadn't read the information that was posted, it would not be there. And what I was looking at was the dates in the calendar. And on June, it says it's either 2 days before or 2 days after of this date.
There's two places to look, and
Okay, so we're supposed to
right on
understand, we're supposed to go through the whole website, looking at all the different places to find the dates.
and we were working on it earlier this week to fix that, because it
Okay,
also
so I'm
says,
glad, okay, that's a good
The
answer.
next meetings are clearly depicted on the homepage.
Yeah.
The
Because
bottom.
this isn't the first time that there's been a problem.
Historically, we have met, I believe it is, historically, we met on Fridays. And
I
many, many
realize that.
years.
So now you're in person?
2 meetings ago, and in advance, we publish, as a helpful item, we publish our meetings for the entire year. That document is as it was originally approved, and we are working to reflect the fact that for the balance of the year, the meetings will be the third Thursday, not the third Friday.
Okay, and is
Also-
that gonna go forward for next year?
They have had that discussion. I think that because some of the members of the board travel in the summer,
Yep.
Thursdays are preferred because it gives them longer weekends to travel.
Well, I prefer Thursdays, but you know, it's not about me.
but
It
you're
is-
right,
it
I
is-
was working on it actually Monday, because I went on the regular webpage and I saw it didn't have the date, and it didn't have the right building,
Right.
so we're fixing that.
That's good that you're taking care of that.
It
The
just
next-
takes us a little while because we're using a contractor for that kind of work.
The next thing I want to bring up, and I have to do a little snake to get there, so just be patient. There have been complaints in Naples about the cell service throughout Naples, not out here in the Everglades. I have noticed a decrease in cell service down here in Port of the Islands. I used to have great cell service, I never complained about it, but that's not the case. My question is, has anyone on the board considered renting out the land, and it doesn't take that much land, that the CID owns to a cell tower. That would provide some income to the CID. And second, we've lost income because most of the people that are on this board, and I realize that you are new to this board, have bought land, extra land for the CID, even though if you look at what the responsibilities of the CID is, it's not real estate, and buying and selling real estate. So my question is anyone looking into that to get some extra income? And it's not insignificant what they pay you.
Yeah. It's a good idea.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Take a look at that.
Any additional comments? Yes, ma'am, and back, and then the lady.
I'm sorry. Hi, my name is Cynthia Alberto, and I'm president of the Sunset Camp Islands. Our contract for the internet service is up in January, and Amazon Sunrise is also, their contract is also up. I do understand that there may be other communities who are actually looking at internet contracts. We've already been talking to AT&T, who has failed our development seriously, and now we're talking to Blue and trying to get in touch with Summit. So my presentation today is simply to ask you, if you're part of a community who is in the process of renegotiating your internet, if you're interested in joining with us to get better prices and better service for long term, so please put your name and your community on this piece of paper at the end of this meeting, and I'll be very happy to contact you and give you the information that I'm getting about the different services that are available to us. We have 192 units, so we have a little bit of strength that we'd like to actually avail to you in your communities. One of the main things we're talking about is I've been told that the houses in this community would like to see fiber optics installed. And that's one of the things I'm talking to them about, is bringing the fiber into that neighborhood, using our strength to help them to do that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Kathy, I'm from Sunrise K2 right now. My question is to the board, have we had any contract negotiations for our landscaping for the city? So we've had the contract for a long time. Is there a monthly, yearly contract that we have? Is it open to bid for other landscapers to help reduce the cost?
It is a continuing contract that has a 30-day termination clause, I believe. It was renewed for this fiscal year that would run through September, and then would be reauthorized, if appropriate, in October of this year.
So is it open to bids for other landscaping?
I don't know when it was last bid or if it is term specific, but I'll be happy to research that and find out and report it to the next meeting.
And what are their fees normally? Do they go up? Have they gone up? You know, some landscapers have historically charged 10% increase yearly.
In the 2 years that I've been here, they've been very modest. In the tentative budget that will be discussed later in today's meeting, I did put a 2.8% increase for cost of living in that agreement.
Okay, so how would a new landscaper submit a bid?
If the board authorized proposals for bids, there'd be a solicitation process, an RFP, public notice. We might reserve the right to pre-qualify contractors, given our location here. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily want to hire somebody from Bonita Springs, and that we might be well advised to pre-qualify who we wanted to give proposals.
How do we go about that? We do have a landscaper that Sunrise Cape has been using.
We would typically have that discussion in the fourth quarter of this year, July, August, September, if the board had an interest in putting that out for competitive proposals.
Okay, so even though...
I'm not telling you that they will, I'm telling you if they desire to do that, it would be in the fourth quarter of this year.
So even though you guys are on a monthly contract, you're technically not open to another bid, it sounds like.
We haven't had that policy discussion.
Okay, so how do we move forward with getting open bids? Because we possibly could be saving hundreds, thousands of dollars
with a different contractor who does work in this area already and has several, contracts here and has done a very good job. And he will have a contract that holds the price for 3
Yeah,
years.
if you
So
are-
there will be no increases for 3 years in his contract.
It's kind of a game, but if you have someone that you're personally acquainted with
Okay.
who would like to be on a potential bidders list.
He has submitted work for when you guys were looking for work, for extra work. He has submitted those.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that, but he can contact me at my email address and ask to be added to the prospective list if we move forward with that in the fourth quarter.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, what was your last name?
It's Olson, Olson.
Yeah, thank you.
And then I do have one other comment. I'm not sure how this will go over, but since we don't have a general store anymore and the boating for like the trailer parking is limited, and there's several people here who don't have a place to put the trailers or the boats in off-season. You guys do have a lot of property. Have you ever considered having, a fenced-in area? People can pay for their boating. They pay, $50 to $100 or even more to store their trailers. Most boats are either on their lifts or on, so I don't know if that's a thought to try to just, recoup some money and make some money with some of the land that you guys have to do something like that. If anybody's ever thought of
Yeah,
that.
we talked about it.
Okay, that's
Just
just
the
my
boating
thought.
community, we have trailers everywhere.
Right, everywhere, and we're not allowed to have it. And, some people have had to sell their boats because they have no place to put their trailer now. So, thank you.
Thank you.
About the pre-qualification, we used to have a pre-qualification that they had, the landscaper had to be from Collier County.
Yeah, and even most people have a local preference or would give additional points if they had a local presence, again, as from, Broward or Lee County. We've already recognized y'all, there will be an additional opportunity for you to comment at the end of today's meeting, but I would ask you to hold any further comments to the end.
Yeah, it's related to her question, but it's all.
Again, I would ask you to hold those until we get to the end, you'll have additional opportunities.
I'm very respectful to your answer.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Yes, ma'am, we've already heard from you as well. I would ask you to wait to the end. Yes, sir.
Alan Zeta, Manatee Sightseeing at the marina. I have a quick question for you all. You own land, and we've had multiple people mention it today. So I think Sure. There's multiple people that have brought up land issues and the costs associated with it, and they're not approving any money. I'm interested in buying some of your land. I believe the address is 289 Case Drive, the 2-acre lot that's next to the road by the bridge. If you are interested in selling that, I would propose you getting an independent property appraisal, and me, myself, we have one too as well. Compare the two numbers and meet somewhere in the middle if you want to sell that property, and I would absorb that. I also understand that the seawall is deteriorating from that area, and that there is, as the owners, the CID owners, that you might be responsible for a very high cost to repair the seawall, and if I were to buy that property, that cost wouldn't necessarily be incurred by you. What do you say about that? Do you have any idea or any want at this time to possibly explore that? As far as I know, Steve sold it to you all without a property appraisal, but I would be more so interested in buying it based on what a professional opinion is.
Not correct, Steve didn't sell it to us.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, not the big wrong information. But if you are interested in selling it, I would be okay with, or at least possibly exploring purchasing it. Also, I understand that there's no ERCs or anything that's attached to that property, and I'm assuming by buying it that some ERCs would be attached to that property, and therefore more money would be coming into the community if I were able to buy that property. Just a thought, any feedback immediately from that proposal?
Well, the only thing I question is that the seawall's deteriorating. I thought before Southwest Florida, or the Manatee people, whoever's, they inspected the seawall and it was fine. So that's news to me that the seawall's deteriorating.
I've heard other that it might be requiring some work. If it doesn't, that's fine. That would be also part of the inspection process as far as determining how the seawall is holding up over there. Either way, if you are interested in selling the property, do you have any use for the property, or would selling it be on the agenda to recoup money back to you all to spend on other things and other projects that you want to do?
The board has not had that discussion, and again, there would be a request for proposals or a request for qualification process if they chose to want to try and evaluate or receive offers.
How would I go about starting that process?
The same as the last lady. In the event that it were to happen, if you want to send me an email and ask to be on a prospective list of proposers or something like that, that's all you need to do.
Okay, and then I can at the end of this meeting, you can give me all the information that I need to do to start that process?
It's on the website. If you simply send me your preferred contact information in the event that proposals or qualifications were let, then we'll have that and make sure that you get a copy of it if and when it occurs.
Okay, all right, I'll get with you and I'll send you all the information that you need. All right, thank you.
What you plan on doing on the property?
It would be, it's over commercial, with my operation over there. The Manatee business would go over there by the wall.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Build a dock over there, build a floating dock, and use that as the commercial. And then all the ERCs that I'll be absorbing, or I'm assuming would be added to the plot of land. I mean, those are all additional ERCs for the entire community. The ERCs, the docks that I own over at Dock D, I would obviously sell them, so somebody else would buy them in the same, so we just be adding more ERCs to the community without, and then be moving the commercial business away from the marina over to the bridge, which might be better for the overall flow of traffic in the community.
Thank you. We need to move on. Item 4 today are the minutes of 2 meetings. The first was the last regular meeting of the board that occurred on April the 19th.
I just asked for clarification. I never got to discuss my agenda item. I just wanted clarification on what he was saying. I didn't understand the Robert rules of order. I thought that's what he was.
He indicated that the...
That's not anything to do with my agenda.
I'm sorry.
She commented on the hearing, not the.
Yeah, okay. If you have other questions unrelated to...
Yeah, unrelated to, I just was trying to understand what he was saying about the new law, the new rule. Attila, Yolanda Di Bartolo, Attila, we're with AY Camp Duo Services for Florida Islands Hotel Resort.
Excuse me, yes, you're right.
Oh, this is, we're the property management company for the Florida Islands Hotel Resort, Yolanda and Attila. I have a lot of years, I've lived here in many years. My question today was about, I've lived here for 25 plus years. No, I don't live here now. The question is about the water bills. And on your September 17th meeting, I reviewed it over and over.
19.
September, 25.
It's mislabeled on.
It says September 19th, it says September 17th on YouTube, but it's actually September 19th, so that has to be corrected. But Mr. Neil Durrell had mentioned our bill would go up to $1,027 because of a 2-inch meter. And I didn't worry so much then because it was, I saw that the need was there, and then they changed the base rate and took off its, I guess you guys all know about the whole water change, but it wasn't $1,027 as was quoted. It went up 5 times that amount to, we have 3 bills that went up $10,000, $10,000, and $10,000, which is $30,000. We have that budgeted in our operating fund for the last 20 years at $30,000 for the whole annual. This would make our water bill go to $180,000 annually.
I'm gonna address that later.
And the base rate, that,
I'm gonna
oh,
compare
that's
you.
another,
Yeah,
Do you understand the price increases and everything?
it's crazy.
that's,
Yes.
Right, it is, and it was meant to be offset, by your own words, offsetting the non-ad valorem that was removed from the property taxes.
Yes.
This is orders of magnitude larger than that. Somebody made a mistake somewhere.
I'm addressing that later.
okay, so that's.
So they'll be
that's today.
fixing
Yes.
this.
Well, I don't know if we'll be fixing it, but I'm gonna address
This
this.
is clearly a mistake, right?
Yeah.
We've discussed this repeatedly here.
Okay.
We hired a utility rate consultant who
Yeah.
used a meter
is one.
equivalency standard for its projected revenue needs for the utility system. The day of the public hearing, when the new rates were proposed,
This is
there
one.
were several changes that were made
This
by the
is-
board at the
it's
public hearing,
per room.
one of which was to recognize either the industry standards tied to the size of meter or the actual number of units being served. And so at the time, prior to October, we didn't have the number of units attached to the various 2-inch meters that were there. And I've also had multiple meetings with your property manager or one of your board members, Yolanda, to
That's
explain, exactly what was stated.
I know you explained it to me, but it's just not mathematically.
I'm just telling you.
It doesn't work out
It's intended to
mathematically.
offset, it's not intended to make some giant windfall.
No, but and I've said, if, based off of the unit counts for the hotel rooms that are individually owned as condominiums, if there were errors in the assumptions that are on the bill, we can correct those. But I'm still, the board's vote was to recognize either the industry standard tied to the size of the meter or the actual number of units that are attached to that meter.
Right, but we were one base rate and you deemed it residential. These are transient facility. This is mixed use transient. It's not zoned residential.
I would ask
So
you-
what's the zoning for,
It has nothing to do with zoning, it has to do with how the units were condominiumized in order to reflect the revenue that previously was on the tax bill. I would ask you to stand by and see whether there's going to be further consensus to go back and reevaluate that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I think that takes us down to item 4, again, which are the minutes. The first ones would be the regular meeting that occurred on April the 19th.
There's only one. Where Lisa and Dan.
Right, page 13 it is.
Okay. What line?
Number 8, it says Miss Hanson and Mr. Truckey's seat is up for election. Actually, it would be my seat.
That's correct.
Seat, yeah.
Which was formerly Mr. McAfee's seat. Mr. Truckey's seat is up.
Right. So I think my seat is seat 4.
Yes. Any other suggested amendments? If not, you can entertain a motion to approve as amended.
I'll make a motion to approve as amended.
I'll second.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
There's a separate set of minutes. This was a special meeting of the board. In this case, it was a closed-door attorney-client meeting that occurred on May the 7th. We convened the special meeting and then we went into executive session. And so this reflects the opening and the closing of the meeting for which the record was otherwise provided by a court reporter. This is pretty perfunctory. Is there a motion to approve these?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the closed door session.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item 5 today is our monthly FUS utility report. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, board. Matt Winford, Utility Solutions, here to give your monthly operations report. Operations at facilities throughout the month were in accordance with contract and regulatory requirements. All wastewater plant requirements were met and all water distribution requirements were met. reuse systems, functioning properly for outgoing pressure at the plant. Station on the canal is still one pump and not communicating. The wastewater plant received 4.45 million gallons of wastewater in April, and the water plant produced 3.06 million gallons of water in April. There is a difference in the numbers there that doesn't make sense. The water plant typically doesn't produce less than what the wastewater plant treats. So I am looking into an issue with the influent flow meter at the plant, but that's what we're reporting, so that's what I put on the monthly report. Distribution of reused water was 9.5 million gallons in April. We tested all the auto flushers. We didn't read meters in April. And we used 670 gallons of chlorine in April. We performed all weekly pump station inspections, performed weekly odor control checks, performed generator and automatic transfer switch load tests weekly, greased all pumps and motors as necessary, cleaned and calibrated the inline effluent analyzers, lubricated chemical pump tubes. We did install new water meters for home build on Cage Drive. We performed 6 backflow preventer repairs, and the new, I don't know if you guys remember this, but you approved an automatic transfer switch for the well road probably 6 months ago-ish. It's installed and up and running. So now the automatic transfer switch on the well road is back to full function. The plant backup generator failed to start during one of its tests. It ended up being a fuel shutoff solenoid and fuel pump that needed replaced. So we got that done right away. Let's see, we had no accidents or incidents and conducted all of our safety training. That's all I have for you, unless you have any questions.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for the fast response.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you went down to there? Did he tell you what he found in there?
He did, yeah. Sent me a picture of some sort of rag that probably got flushed with something.
So yes, thanks for
Thanks for that, and we'll see you next month.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Item 6 today is the district manager's report. The first presentation today will be by the PFM group. They had 2 different tasks. Again, these have been discussed previously. Task 1 at the board's request was to review the current methodology, the ERU methodology for the non-ed assessment. That particular document is the separate handout that I gave you. Just by way of introduction, Russ Wire has been your economist to do this types of work. Russ recently was acquired by a firm in Orlando, and they were separately tasked with a utility impact or connection fee analysis. This is the so-called ERC charge in the community that is necessary for obtaining a building permit for new construction. There had never been a basis for an impact fee or an ERC charge previously. There are no records as to whether or not or if vacant properties have previously paid or reserved fees. And so this was an important piece of work. But Russ, are you on this morning by Zoom?
There, can you hear me now?
We can now. You were turned down. And Russ, is your partner also on the call this morning from Orlando? And if so, can you introduce him?
Yes. Kevin Plensler and Michael are both from PFM, are online as well.
And good morning, Neil. This is Kevin Plensler with PFM. I'm online to present the connection fee study as requested.
Okay, no, thank you for that. Russ, do you prefer the methodology update over the other one in the interest of time, given the people that are on the call this morning? Just tell us what you prefer. We're going to go over both.
It really doesn't matter. Kevin, if you want to go first, you
Sure.
can. And
Sure, I'll go
Right.
first. Yeah. For the record, Kevin Plensler, PFM. Appreciate the board engaging us to provide this analysis and study. Before the board is the requested connection fee analysis and study for Port of the Islands CID. As Neil described, we were given some direction as to provide an analysis to calculate connection fees going forward based on the information provided by the district manager and the engineer regarding the existing values, book values of the systems, as well as the number of equivalent residential connections, both that have been historically documented and then what have been built to date and what are planned going forward. We're also given some information regarding capacities of all of the systems. Taking that information all together, using a standard buy-in approach from a methodology standpoint, we went in and calculated the various connection fees for your water system, wastewater system, and irrigation fire system. You'll see the summary of those findings in the executive summary. It'd be page 2 of the report document. You'll note that in the document, in the summary section, we went and actually compared some of the water and wastewater connection fees to that of Collier County. So you'll see on page, scrolling here, so pardon my delay. On table.
Hang on 1 second, Kevin.
Sure.
The report that he's reviewing at the moment is the one that is in your bound agenda. The methodology update is the separate one that I passed out. So when he's referring to page 2, this is behind the tab.
Manager's report.
That is the manager's report, and he's on page 2. He's just alluded to the 3 different proposed fees that are in the executive summary, and then take it from there, Kevin. You said there's another page you want to refer to compare Collier County's charges.
That's correct. So yes, in the document, now that you're got it located, you'll see table 7 on page 13 of the report. You'll see the calculation of the Port of the Islands CID connection fees for water and wastewater, and the Collier County fees as of 2024 or 2025. I apologize, I can't remember the year. You'll see that they're generally consistent. Port of the Islands is a little bit lower on the water connection fee comparatively to Collier County, and incrementally higher on the wastewater based on the information we had regarding the book values of the system and capacity of the system going forward. I'll be happy to answer any questions the board may have specifically to the calculations, noting that this is just a standard buy-in type calculation that's applied for connection fees. There's a couple other methodologies. This one was the most applicable given the nature of the system. Like I said, be happy to answer any questions you all may have.
And just to make sure it's part of the public record here for those in attendance, the proposed fees for future connections to reserve capacity in the utility system are $15,223.70. It breaks down this way. Water connection fee, $6,084. Wastewater connection fee, $7,483. And the irrigation fire supply is $1,656. The total again, $15,223. When you look at water and wastewater, the proposed Port of the Islands fee is $13,567, and the most recent fees adopted by the County Commission are $12,084, and those are the ones that he cited from 2024. Kevin, can you also explain the basic method or approach given the book value divided by the average number of gallons per day, and just kind of put a little bit of the rationale behind it?
Sure. Yeah. There, from an analysis standpoint, your connection fee methodology, like I said, the design is associated with the nature of the book value of the system and the capacity of the system, and allocating that across the so you'll see on table 3, for example, on page a 9, you'll see the water plant capacity, and then also which gives you a gallons per day and a value of the water plant on a gallons per day for a unit cost, and that by calculating that water plant gallons per day, you can calculate the water plant connection fee. This is important because if you'll see on table 2 in your executive summary, the nature of the allocation in that connection fee is a function of your ERC factor, noting that a single family residential unit connection is going to be incrementally more than, let's just say, a marina slip, right, or some other element of development within the district. So the intent is to make sure that people are paying their fair share when they go in and get request a connection fee based on the development type and volume, that they're going to be allocated their fair share of capacity going forward. So that's kind of the method behind it, to make sure that everyone pays their fair share going forward for the remaining capacity available.
Any questions from the board's perspective? Pretty straightforward, but enables us to now have a basis for the rates that are going to be charged in the future in the absence of one. On occasion, we have talked about Lindsay Case's property, and there was a value assigned to the purchase contract, but there was no basis behind it. And as I recall, there was $16,000 per unit that were there. And as you know, they're in default of the takedown and payment schedule of those that is now the subject of some litigation. This has other implications for other projects, and in fact I was contacted last week. There is a family who are trying to build a home here, a brand new home. They've begun the building permit process, and the county has explained to them, you're going to need to have a letter of capacity to accompany your application. And so I told him that I needed him to temporarily wait, that we were going to consider a report for the charges going forward in the future. So in the 2+ years we've been here, this is the first new home to be constructed, so we actually have one that is pending right now. Zach, do you have any insight, or are they eligible to go ahead and adopt these today if they're inclined to do so?
I think we're going to do this so more of a formal process for the resolution as opposed to that. I think that the purpose of today, along with the next one, is to just make sure that you see the numbers and we have it for discussion purposes. And if you have questions about the way this was done, you can ask it to the consultant. And if you have no questions, then we can move forward with an adoption. I think it's important that we use this as an opportunity to talk to the consultant.
So the suggestion would then be to defer final adoption until what is intended to be your July meeting, when we'll ask you to formally adopt next year's budget at that time. Okay. Kevin, stand by then just for a second. Russ, do you want to walk the board then through the separate O&M ERU analysis and update? And again, they have, if you've got slides that you can provide as part of your presentation, fine. If not, I've also passed out a hard copy of the document that you emailed to us.
Okay. For the record, it's Russ Wire with Real Estate. I got a feedback here, sorry, from Real Estate Econometrics, and I'm under contract with PFM to take care of this assignment, among others. So, again, we've been tasked with taking a look at the methodology, which was actually prepared by me back in June in 2023. And we've done some research. For the most part, I'll go through the slides as I see where we need to. But for the most part, the the commercial, residential, gun club, and hotel ERUs don't change, with the exception on the residential, where we take a hard look at the different, single family, 1.5 lots, and the double lots. And in order to maintain continuity, we feel that the 1.5 lots should be charged 1.5 ERUs. That's the only change in the residential side. Now, we go to page 8 in the report, if you have a copy in front of you. Okay, on page 8, is that where we make the recommendation of 1.5 size lots should be assessed the 1.5 ERUs? By splitting it between the lots, the district actually loses that assessment for the generation of that split lot. And ultimately, I mean, if they decide to get together and sell that lot, then you already have the ERU accounted for. Double lots, again, will be assessed 2 ERUs since they have the potential to build that second home immediately. In the next page, the review of government-owned lots. I was asked to take a look at that. And the county, Collier County owns 27 condominium quad units and plus a 2-acre parcel. I think that's is it Orchid Cove or in that area? And they also own the former hotel site on the north side of US 41. Allocation of assessments to vacate those lands and should not be assessed. By Florida statute 196.001, you can read there, non-ad valorem assessments on public property are often invalid by local government law. And I think the county would fight that if you were to attempt to put assessments on them. The real measuring stick, if the county-owned land is generating revenue off of a parcel, such like the marina, they are charged assessments, and I've done that in other districts that I manage where they are generating revenue. Therefore, they get an assessment. But in this case, since they're not generating revenue, what I would suggest is not assess them. However, once they sell those units or sell that lot, then you're now able to assess them. Go to page 11, if you would please. That's the review of the boat slip properties. We've taken a look at these, and in the past, this is our recommendation. Of course, you are the ones who ultimately make the determination. And in the past, our recommendation was that the liveaboard slips would be treated the same as if it was a residential property and would get an ERU of 1. This year, I was asked to take a look at some of the slips which are running commercial operations off of them. So I've done that. Going back to the ERU methodology on page 12, which explains where I said general use slips. I used the ITE data for boat slips, and it falls in line with what I had recommended, I guess it was 3 years ago, the 0.25, which I'll show how we calculated that shortly. The commercial operations were estimated from passenger and crew activity rather than from a reduced berth only factor. And finally, the liveaboards were treated as if they were a regular residential unit. So if you go to page 13, here is originally when I did the calculation, it was based on the acreage that is taken up by the non-liveaboard boat slips and then divided by the commercial of 4 per acre. It turned out that we were at 0.25, which was the recommendation at that time. This now, it turns out that when you look at the ITE trip generation is 2.41 per boat slip. So when you divide the two 9.41 by 9.43, you come up with a general use bow slip is 0.255, which correlates to the 0.25 we recommended 3 years ago. So that is going to be our recommendation on the general use wet slips. On the next page is the commercial operating slips.
Hang on one second, Russ, you got one quick question.
I'm confused. The general use slip is 0.25. What's the commercial slip in that same B&D area?
He's coming to it next.
Oh, he hasn't gotten to it yet. Okay, I thought he was.
That's where I'm getting at right now.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go to page 14.
Okay, so yeah, I'm now on page 14. This is where we looked at the commercial operating slips and looked at a number of different methodologies, and there's a really nice approach I have found, which talked about the number of departures per day, the vessel passenger capacity, and the crew size, which actually correlates to the number of trips they would generate. So, and you would almost have to do it for each one, but what we were recommending, if you had, I'm sorry, go to page 15 now. These were the assumptions to use to calculate the ERU. And it can go across the board. I mean, you could have 25 people going on a sightseeing type thing. I was using what would happen if you had a commercial fisherman going out, or a guide with a crew size of 2 and a client capacity of 2 and a number of departures per day of 2. So that would be 8 trips generated per day, which is multiplying those 3 numbers. And you divide the 8 trips by the daily residential trip of 9.43, an ERU of 0.85 is our recommendation to be used for the wet slips being used by commercial operation. And the next page is the liveaboard wet slips, which we're recommending, again, 1 ERU per slip, since the liveaboard is the slips are better represented by the residential trip generation characteristics than by standard marina berth usage. So on the page 17, all the boat slip ERU factors are totaled there. So your liveaboards are 1, your commercial use is 0.85, and the recreational slips are 0.25. And then the review, the hotel, by the way, is another one that we are not changing anything per our recommendation previously. And the gun club is the same thing on page 19, which is the calculation, again, we did 3 years ago. They came back with another recommendation, but the board has recommended going forward with 8 ERUs then, and it still stands. Nothing has really changed from our perspective. And the review of the district-owned properties, no ERUs are assigned to district-owned properties. We're a form of special government, and therefore is not in the commercial operating business. Eventually, once parcel is sold to private user, then ERUs will be assigned to that parcel based on its entitlements and one of the ERU calculations previously described. Finally, on my last page, which is page 21, there's the list of all the property types and the proposed recommended ERUs that we're taking into account. So at this point, I'll take questions.
If I could ask one quick one. On the property type list, I see a commercial per acre of 4, but for something like the parcel 13, the Lindsay Case parcel, that's a residential PUD. Would that be, how would that one be calculated?
The residential would, I think when we calculate, is that the one that's in, go ahead, parcel 13?
Yeah, parcel 13 was previously owned by the district, currently owned by a private entity, Lindsay Case. It's about 48 acres. It's not commercial. to residential planned unit development. So when I'm looking at this listing here, it's not the commercial 4 per acre. Is it, we would have to calculate the residential units inside and that's how it is dealt with, or should there be a category for undeveloped vacant residential tracts?
It would be residential units, whatever they're in for entitlements. So it'd be 1 per whatever they are in for entitlements.
And Mr. Truckee, I know this is an area of interest in your questions. Did I ask enough questions on that one, or do you have additional questions on that concept?
I'm good for now, thank you.
Okay.
Any other board questions preliminarily? Russ, can you give us a little further rationale for commercial boat slips? I understand the crew size and passenger size for what I would typically call a charter fishing captain, whether it's backcountry or offshore. What's your rationale for passenger size for larger vessels that might be eco tours or sightseeing?
Well, Neil, as I recommend, or what I had talked about earlier, is it is very difficult to determine that it could be much higher, but that can change on a daily, monthly basis. You may have somebody come and go. So that to me, this was the basis, and seems like the most use that is taking place there.
So is it fair to say that you looked at this over the course of a year, and I've not been on one of these things, but some of these larger eco tour boats, I'm just going to say maybe could have a dozen or more passengers, but you're taking a more annualized approach and, accounting for weather and whatnot, just to differentiate between an eco tour versus a charter fishing captain.
That's correct. And some of the charter captains may just have one captain or one crew and may have one person on board with one client.
But we're looking at some of the tours that go out. I'll take the manatee boats, for instance, just because we see them all the time. But they run all day long, several trips a day with 4 or 5 people per trip.
Mr. Truckee, what in that case, I mean, we can change that. You can change, you have the formula to do it.
Okay.
If that would be up to the board to make that final recommendation. I'm just giving you how you can calculate it. And I was using an overall, like Mr. Doral said, on an annual basis.
And Russ, just generally, when you're arriving at these numbers, you're looking at sort of average. You have to be looking at averages because we're not doing a property by property analysis, right?
That's correct.
Final questions, if any, from the board? This is the third methodology update or review in probably the last 4 years. So, this is very familiar to someone. If not, then again, Zach, your recommendation would be to defer the final adoption of this at the same time that they approve the assessment roll for the FY27 budget that is set for July.
Yep, consistent with the prior modifications.
With that, Russ and Kevin, thank you. I know we first started talking to Russ about this. It must have been last October, Mr. Kish and I, and this is a very important element to the community. So when once engaged, we thank you for meeting the time schedule that we're on so that we can hopefully affect some of these changes at the beginning of the new fiscal year. So thank you again. We'll be in touch. May want to reserve a few moments of your time at the July meeting in the event we have any questions once we update the assessment roll.
Thank you.
Kevin, thanks again. If not, then the next item that I have and behind the next tab in your budget is the preliminary tentative budget for next fiscal year. This is essentially a kind of a maintained year from my perspective, and I've got just some general comments here. We're not proposing any increase in the operating and maintenance assessment. It will remain the current rate, the total values of which the current assessment is depicted on third page here. $721.26 for a total ERU allocation of 1,130 assessable units. And so first the general fund budget. The total general fund budget for next year is actually a slight decrease over the current year, but the assessment rate remains the same. So the proposed budget for next year is $910,105. The current year's budget is $930,605. Some of the assumptions that I used where appropriate, I spoke about this earlier. I have put a 2.8 cost of living increase in for certain professional services, for example, like our contract would include accounting. I also put a 2.8% increase in for your utility contractor and also your landscape and maintenance contractor. Most of the other line items remain as currently budgeted. But as I said, there is a slight decrease in the overall total budget for next year. I kept money in here. Let me just go down through the various cost centers. The administrative cost center is first there, and it includes all of your insurance packages, legal advertising, minute transcription, tax collector and property appraiser fees, miscellaneous website hosting fee. There is an annual fee that is charged by the state. The total for the administrative cost center next year is about $6,500 higher than this year. It's $219,525. Under operation and maintenance services, this includes field management. It includes a street lighting budget. It includes repair and maintenance for the building. And as it exists here, that would primarily be custodial cleaning and minor maintenance on a weekly or bi-weekly basis for this facility for the new year. Again, repair and maintenance grounds is the existing landscape maintenance contract that is increasing by $2,000, my recommendation. That also gives us some additional capacity there. And I left the repair and maintenance of stormwater and drainage facilities. We haven't actually expensed anything there this year, but I kept that the same. So overall, that cost center again is $75,000. Under landscape contracts, in particular, to include irrigation and repairs and maintenance to your irrigation utility, it remains unchanged from the current year at $124,000. The separate contract to maintain and spray your lake banks and the lake surfaces for algae. Slight increase there just based on utilization this year, going up $500 to $2,500 next year. Under your road cost center, this would also include and be the area where we do pressure washing of the sidewalks and other minor sidewalk repairs, in addition to a small budget for roadway signage. It remains unchanged at $10,300 next year. On the capital side, you currently have a $25,000 landscape improvement line item. At mid-year, we hadn't actually spent any, but we are spending some money that is eligible now for the new median and the associated signage and some of the electrical costs here at the entrance to the community. So I'm expecting to spend some money there. And I left that again, $25,000 for next year. Operating contingency we have not used for unforeseen sort of operating costs during the course of the year. So I actually decreased that slightly for next year. But that would also give us some contingency funds in the event we had a tropical storm or hurricane for like horticultural debris removal, cleanup, hurricane related expenses. And then final, we make an annual contribution into the capital reserve fund. And I have left that at $350,000 as well. So again, the total cost per resident for that remains unchanged at $721.26. On the utility side, a couple of comments here. Again, this will be the second year for which there is no assessment subsidy of the system. So the system is totally operated off of fee revenue. And just a quick note, the 6-month actual number there is the amount that was either collected or, in the case of the most recent bill, the amount that was billed. And while there's a couple of entities here, not only the hotel condominium and perhaps the marina condominium that are going to contest their most recent base charges, that $915,000 is the amount that has been billed or received because there's a little delay. You know, we bill bi-monthly. The bills do not go out until the 15th of the month following the month where the meters are read. But the total overall budget for next year, at least for the time being, remains unchanged at $1,568,300.
Wait, that's expense?
That's revenue, and then the offsetting expenses, it is a balanced budget with capital reserves and separate contingencies at $1,568,000.
So you're doing revenue based on what we currently are doing now?
For the moment, until you tell me otherwise. And again, we're only reviewing, and the reason that Collier County serves as a depository for all special district budgets by law. So I have to tell them what the tentative budget is by no later than June the 15th. You don't formally adopt this budget again until we get to July, but you got to have it adopted by the end of August so that it can be sent to the taxpayer.
Okay, so you're on revenues, all right. You finished expenses? You're done with expenses on that budget? What you're talking about?
Yeah.
What about the, I'm going to be breaking you up here a lot now. Okay, you get the money that we compensate Orchid Cove for as far as electrical. So that's an expense, right?
That is an expense.
And that's still figured in there? Because I want to eliminate that charge.
Mr. Truckee has been your liaison on that particular
I realize
matter.
that.
It currently includes what I would call the private streetlights in Orchid Cove.
Okay, so we need to address that. All right, because there's an address. There's an address 25,017. If you want to look that up, Orchid, Peacock Lane. It's a vacant lot. It's got Orchid Cove Association listed to it. So in the past, since 2021, we used to charge what could be there. We did that for all the properties. We charged assessments on what could be there. Well, that's not a government lot. 25 and 17, if you look it up. It's listed to Orchid Cove. And they've been paying $187, if they've even paid that. Okay, so the assessments on that
Just to clarify, is that the parcel that I would call their community center and pool?
No, that's 25.
That's
25,000.
Okay.
Okay, 25,000 is what's it called?
It's the common.
25 is the common grounds. Okay, which they don't pay on.
Okay.
I cleared that up with the county. I called the county. They're the ones that gave me this 25017 that was transferred just this past October from some sisters group, Sisters Capital. Okay? But it's always been the home for whatever reason, Orchid Cove Homeowners Association.
Is Russ still on the call, or did he leave?
But anyway, this was back in the day when we were charging on these empty lots, because I owned one at one time. And, you know, before I built it, was $4,000 a year I was paying assessments on. This one hasn't been paying anything. So I think we need to clear up that charge with Orchid Cove immediately and dump it. If they pay their own electric bill, they pay their own, we aren't going to pick that up anymore because we're not using the facility anymore. That was an agreement that we've just made up. It wasn't in any rule or anything else. We just made it up that we were going to be able to use the Orchid Cove facility in lieu of some accounting problem.
Their street light, private street lights in recognition of their contention, and this is years ago.
But we want to do what's fair and equitable. I hear that all the time now, fair and equitable. And more of that's going to come up.
Okay.
But they didn't pay anything. And they had this this condo at 25,017, unit 202, listed as their home address. And they were paying nothing.
Okay.
So I want to call that a washout and just eliminate that as an expense for this community. Does that make sense?
It does.
The 25,000 unit is the parcel ID that the property appraiser seems to be attributing to the entirety of the common element for Orchid Cove.
25,017?
Yes, unit number 202. It's odd that it has a unit number, but I'm looking at the aerial and it appears to be essentially the entirety of the common element area, which would include the clubhouse, the lake, the other lake on the other side.
But not 25 and 17 isn't included in that.
That's what it's showing here, but we can look
Because that's not what they told me. They told me it was Sisters Capital. Somebody else owned it.
It was transferred from Sisters Capital to Orchid Cove. Yeah, this just seems, it looks like there's a phase 2 of the condo that maybe didn't get developed, and this can be looked into, absolutely. The question, in some ways this is a question for Russ, who I hear is no longer on the call, but we need to talk about with him undeveloped phase 2s of condos. Is really the inquiry.
I understand the issue. He did talk about the fact that when former developer went bankrupt and over time the county acquired those parcels because their taxes went unsold at the auction. So the county now holds the deed to certain building pads. But if your contention is there are other private or not-for-profit parcels that are buildable, then they need to be assessed.
There appears to be at least one.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't want to charge them for it. I just want to wipe out this other expense that we have that we're covering their electric bill. Yeah. I just want to just wash it.
Yeah, I think Zach has previously told us the so-called agreement that was entered into was a poor agreement, and in its current form has no termination provision, which might lead them to believe that, that while we may terminate it, we don't have the right to terminate it. That's my understanding.
Neil, excuse me, this is Ray Jensen. If I can speak to that.
Ray,
yes.
Hang on just a second. I'm not sure who you are, and we're otherwise trying to get some important direction here from the board.
Well, I'm trying to help you with it. I'm the vice president of Orchid Cove Board.
Yeah, I might give you the chance to do that in just a second. I just try to maintain a little order here.
That contract, I do believe the contract can be terminated. But in that this came up at a prior board meeting and direction wasn't given to go down any particular route. And there was some discussion about whether meetings could be had with the power company as to how that was being done, and it just never came back around. So I need some direction as to what direction we want to go with this. It's possible that it turns into litigation, but I wouldn't expect it to do so.
we have segregated those bills for those private streetlights.
Right,
We're tracking that separately.
I know, I want to eliminate that.
I understand. Other board input?
Sounds
You
like a
recognize
reasonable-
Mr. Jensen?
Sounds like a reasonable request.
I mean, we're not getting anywhere with it, we just keep kicking the can down the road, we'll just
Do it.
like
Keep
keep
saying
dumping
that
it.
they're looking into it.
Yeah, I know, we'll just dump it. It's an expense for the whole community. It's not big, but it's an expense.
You want to recognize him just.
You guys, gentlemen, ladies, dumping the agreement is a different subject than the fee we pay for their lighting, right? Because there's another community in Port of the Islands that also has the same situation with lighting, where they have decorative poles, numerous poles, more than the rest of the Port of the Islands, and we have to look at all that as a whole when it comes to how much we're going to charge them for their lighting. It's not just Orchid Cove. All right, we have to be
What's
fair
that?
across the.
What's the other community?
Did you hear that, Dan? Is there-
Evening Star, Evening Star K.
So why can't we just,
We're gonna start someplace.
just eliminate them all? I mean, why are we,
Okay, so Evening Star Cave, I called LCEC. They give you you get the bill and it shows that Evening Star K has numerous light poles there. They have like 13 in that cul-de-sac. The rest of Port of the Islands has 3 in a cul-de-sac that we pay for. They have decorative poles. There's some questions about them maintaining the poles themselves, which shouldn't be under an LCEC contract. LCEC should be maintaining the poles. We're looking back at some history. I tried to match the poles with numbers. LCE doesn't make that an easy job. You have to get a sheet from them and then cross-reference the number they have for the billing with the number on the light pole. There's a little bit more to it than that. We have to make sure that if we're going to do this, we do it fair across the board, and that's what we're working on right now.
well,
Now, Orchid Cove, we do pay for Orchid Cove's, let's call them fancy poles. They're upgraded poles. At this time, we are paying for that. They have 21 poles, or 19, I think they have 21 poles. I have all my notes, not here. But anyway, they have 21 poles. There's a couple of them that are on their property by their parking lot. We didn't pay for it, brought it down to 19 poles, I believe. And then the decorative charges are up to $30 per pole more than we pay anywhere else. So that if you.
but this is minutia in the whole aspect of what we're paying for everything. So they made the decision to have these poles, let them pay for it, break it out, and be done with it. We got enough to deal with without worrying about kicking these poles around every frickin' 6 months or whatever it is.
Why don't we leave it up to the community to get back to us and give them
Or put them on
30
notice.
days, give them 30 days. to get
Okay.
back to us.
I just want
Let's
off
get
the
it off
docket.
our docket.
Yeah, let's just get it off the table.
Okay.
But can I get clarification on what the direction is here? So you're going
You're gonna give them 30 days notice.
to take
Assume
over.
responsibility for those 2 accounts.
Right.
And otherwise, we will contact LCEC to close those 2 accounts for Orchid Cove and the ones that have just come to light in Evening Star K.
What do you mean close the accounts?
Well, I think they need
Well,
to
they
tell
have to
us.
build them, that's.
If we're not going to pay the monthly charges, then I'm going to terminate the auto pay feature that we're currently paying the electrical bills for those 2 days.
Well, I thought they would only pay the difference.
Right.
That's
So what I propose is that they tell us what the difference is. Now, give us an accounting of what you have,
Right.
then we can make a
yes.
decision.
I believe that we have a responsibility to pick up the same amount of lighting we pick up throughout the community. All right. So we're going to have to look at their bill. We know now. I've done surveys of the port. I know what the basis is for the rest of the community. We have to figure out what Orchid Cove, and we can do it one of 2 ways. Either Orchid Cove, when we pay the bill, we pay the entire bill. I don't know that LCD will split that out, the charges for the fancy poles, because that's not how they bill. But I think what'll happen is either we quit paying the bill entirely, and then we'll have to pay Orchid Cove if they pick up the bill for their street lighting for what we pay for the rest of the community, or we can have Orchid Cove, we'll pay the bill and Orchid Cove will owe us a stipend every month for their extra charges for their light poles.
I don't know if we do it every month or once a year.
I don't know enough about
It's going to be.
Well, all right, let's give
Yeah.
it 60 days. Let's give it 60 days.
What we need is an inventory of the different lights so that we can make a determination.
And get this over with, yes.
And give them 60 days to get that.
But that kind of irritated me when I saw that, because when I called the county, they told me that, oh, by the way, 2517, 25,017 is owned by the homeowners association. So, and then the Sisters Capital was in between, and I didn't know what was going on with that. I didn't understand why they would be doing that, and it just didn't seem like it was above board. So that's why I just want to eliminate all this other stuff that we don't have to worry about.
Well, we can figure out who's going to pay.
So it's a 60-day notice that essentially each of these communities is going to be asked to take over the delta.
The difference.
And if by way of an agreement, we're going to have to draft an agreement so we can articulate whether it's we pay them, they pay us, whatever the pattern is.
We're still going to need an inventory.
Right.
So
let's make it happen.
I need one just quick point of clarification. My understanding, going back to the original development phase here, was that certain streetlights on public roads were installed by the district, and the source of funds were bonds that were sold to build the roads and the infrastructure here. In cases like Orchid Cove, I have been advised that those streets are private, and that unless there was a finding somewhere along the way, those streetlights were installed by the condominium association or owned by the condominium association. So I don't want to mess up what you're trying to do, but ownership is important along with benefits.
So they should be paying the bills, what you're saying?
If they were in fact part of the condominium and they were installed by, and the original accounts opened by the condominium association because they were private streetlights, I just need to be able to differentiate between public streetlights that were installed by the district and are owned by the district versus assets that may be owned by the condominium association.
Well, that would should definitely change that. Then the whole bill would become Orchid Coves.
That's why I'm asking for just a little clarification. If the board thinks that there's a public benefit to pay for street lighting throughout the community, regardless of ownership, then that might be something that we want to work on over time, is making sure that those assets, or we have a property interest in those assets, as Zach would say. I'm just saying we need to be consistent.
I get it, but just so the community knows, okay? I didn't understand why Orchid Cove doesn't pay taxes on their building, no assessments, their pool, their tennis courts. If they had 30 tennis courts over there, it would be considered common ground, and it's of no value to anybody but them. You know what I mean? It could be something else. It could have been condos that would reduce everybody's overhead, but it's not. So none of that gets taxed. All their taxes and assessments are based on their units, but the common ground gets nothing. They get charged nothing for that. I never understood that until I called the county. But common grounds gets charged. If they wanted to put tennis courts all over the place, they wouldn't be paying. We wouldn't be paying getting anything from them. Even the whole county wouldn't be getting anything from them.
And all I'm saying is that
but my point is, it is what it is. If it's private, then they're going to pick it up, I guess. I don't know. That's the way I'm kind of leaning.
Yeah.
Because everything is what's fair. I don't know.
Well, ultimately, the board decides what's fair. I just want to have the basis.
Did we ever try to waive that contract that we were talking about?
I think that looking at common ground property for a condominium association, you have to be a little careful there, because the owners pay for that common ground in their taxes already. That's the way common ground works in a condominium association. So it's a little different when you're looking at common ground. That's going to fall into condo law.
Well, I don't know, they're assessed based on value, so I don't know if the value of the condominium goes up based on how many tennis courts there are, or how many pools there are. I don't know if that's how it works for the assessment of a condo. But even so.
All I'm offering is that we need to do a little research there.
Okay.
If Peacock Lane is in fact a public street and the street lights on a private street, I'm sorry. If Peacock Lane is a private street and those street lights were privately installed and are assets of the condominium association, I would want you to know that. Should we be paying to light streets on private roads?
We can make that determination, but.
We need all the facts.
We need all the facts.
So 60 days.
In summary on this budget, I did want to mention the one particular where I went beyond the 2.8 cost of living increase. We've had substantial increases in sludge disposal at the utility plant. Max previously alluded to this. The costs have really skyrocketed there. And so the current sludge disposal budget is $20,000. We were under budgeted at mid-year. We have spent $17,700. That includes perhaps some fuel surcharges that are being added to remove the sludge. And so in recognition that we're going to spend about $35,000 by the end of the year on sludge disposal, potentially, I've increased next year's budget to $35,000. But that's really the only change that's there. If there are no other questions, then again, this is a two-part process.
Well, you didn't get to revenues yet.
Neil, excuse me, I think you forgot me. You slid over me, Neil.
Well, it would be at the discretion of the chairman if she wants to recognize. I didn't know who you were. Do you want to hear Mr. Jensen's comments?
Yeah, give you a few minutes, Ray.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, it's just, I can help you with these two items. The Sisters Capital thing is not a lot. There are 28 phantom units on parcel 2 that the county owns. 28 phantom condos. The one owned by Sisters Capital was privately owned. They never paid the taxes on it. So it went up for auction last year. And we went to purchase it because it was like $1,800. It's not a lot. It's a phantom unit that'll never be built. As it turned out, we ended up getting it for free because it went through 2 subsequent auctions and people put money down and then they realized they weren't getting a waterfront lot. So all that is 25% of one quad building. That's all it is. We do pay the tax on it, which was $200, but we literally just took it over less than a year ago. It's not a lot, and it's a phantom unit that will never be built. On the streetlights, you guys are going way off course with that. There is a written agreement, and it was done in 2020 by the CID. I call it the Tony Davis CID at the time, because it was discovered that Orchid Cove had been paying for their electricity for everything for years since its inception in 2007, and no one else was. So in lieu of a lawsuit against the CID, the Orchid Cove board at that time and the CID came up with an agreement, and it had no end to it. It's signed. The treasurer signed it, the president signed it, and it goes in perpetuity. Why it's for those streetlights is they agreed to pay for an upgrade. The upgrade was the pretty poles, whatever they may be. So that's what they agreed to pay in perpetuity. We did get a legal observation of this. We know we're right. And that's all that was. The agreement, one of you has the agreement, and it's right from the CID. It's 2 pages. It's us and you, and we both have to agree to anything. But the bottom line is, Orchid Cove Board at the time caught that CID board overcharging us for our electric, and no one else was being overcharged. The CID didn't have money at the time, so in lieu of that, they did the agreement, and they said they would pay for the upgrade for our streetlights. I believe there were 19. And that's all that is. It is in perpetuity. It is a legal document. We have it. We've had it looked at, and it's signed by the board at that time. That's all it is.
Okay,
You're
thanks,
not
Ray.
paying for the electricity.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So back, we keep going between utility budgets and streetlights, but the current projected revenue for next year is based off of the current board adopted rate schedule. And the board requested base rate adjustments that I alluded to earlier when I was answering Yolanda's question. So the current rate schedule as either a meter-sized equivalency. For example, a 2-inch meter is going to be charged for 5 units, 5 base rates. But the amendment that was made was that it would either be 5 or the actual number of units being served. By way of example, the average 2-inch meter at the condominium, the hotel condominium, can have on average 20 units on a 2-inch meter, when otherwise the standard is 5. And so if the board is inclined to want to revisit that, you're going to need to tell me that. Zach is going to need to say whether or not we need to advertise changes to the utility rates, but the year-to-date revenues are based off of the board's amendment to the proposed rates to include either the actual number of units being served or the industry standard for that size of meter.
Okay, I've got some numbers for you. I called utility services of Collier County and the city of Naples. Okay?
And I just to add quickly, similar issue is going to exist at the marina condo because those boat slips are individually owned.
Right.
And so the same type of issue is going to be there for both of those customers.
Okay, but I just want to give you some current numbers, okay? The city of Naples, the base rate for all their stormwater and everything is $151 every 2 months. Our base rate is $256. The base rate for Collier County is $172. Now, the water in Naples, the city of Naples is not reverse osmosis, and it's terrible. I can't drink it. When I work at the house, it's awful. So if you want with Collier County, which is reverse osmosis, their base rate is $172 every 6 months. 60 days, every 60 days, right? The city of Naples has a sewer rate of $3.68 per thousand, maxed out at 3,000 gallons. Or 30,000 gallons. Okay? Collier County has a rate of $7.46 per thousand, maxed out at 15,000 gallons. So it's about the same. Okay? We're at $7.50 per thousand at 75% of potable use, whatever that number might be, I don't know. But that's comparable. That's not bad. Then if you look at the rates, we're at a flat rate of $3.38 per thousand. The city of Naples is at $1.86 up to $1.86 up to 15,000, and then from 15,000 to 30,000, it's $3.25. And I don't know what an average house uses, unfortunately. But anyway, and then $4.62 up to 45,000, and $5.55 up to 45,000. So the more you use, the more you pay. Collier County is even more than that. They start higher than we do. Their base rate starts at $4.44 for the first 5,000 gallons. And then they go to $6.70 up to 10,000 gallons. then it goes to 889 up to 20,000 gallons, 1111 up to 30,000, and above 30,000 it's 1313 a gallon. So they're way higher than us in usage. Okay.
Yeah, we said we were gonna look at that again.
Right. That's what my point is. This 256 base rate is way too high. Now what I did was I checked out hotels. Now this hotel has what, 15 rooms, 12, 14, 15 rooms, counting the 2 bathrooms downstairs. And we charge them a 1 for each one. So we're charging $256 per room every 60 days. All right? So I looked up, I called the county or the city, and I got the Glades Motel, which was built in 1954, so it's kind of figured in, but it has 15 rooms. Okay? And I got their water bill, and every 60 days, if you divide it by 15, is $67. We're charging this hotel $256, and that Glades Motel is paying $67. Then I said, well, look at a new motel. There's Wood Spring Suites, the new one down there past the airport on the left, big multi-unit building that has 123 rooms. I got their bill, and I divided it by the number of rooms, their water bill, and it's $47 every 60 days. So this hotel, we're charging $256 when a brand new hotel with 123 units is getting charged $47
For 2 months.
for 2 months.
Well, I have a question. I have a question on that I'd like to ask. Okay, so when we start to talk about our hotel, that really gets mucky. All right, because the hotel is divided up. The kitchen pays X amount, the chairs pay X amount, the way they divided the hotels up, the bathrooms belong to the homeowner association.
I'm just telling you what we're charging for those 15 rooms in this hotel. I didn't break it down any further to the other units. I don't know what that is.
That's the problem, is that our hotel is completely broke up into pieces. Some of it we charge for, some we don't charge anything for. We have a kitchen, we have the bar area. It all gets charged different. So you'd have to take a look at our hotel, and I'm sorry, Russ, but it is a mess, the way that's divided up and charged. Some of it they don't pay anything on, some of it they pay more on. We'd have to look at the whole as a hotel, how it's broken between the homeowners association and what we charge and what we don't charge.
Well, I'm telling you that we're charging right now, even if we just charge for those 12 rooms, we're charging $256 per room every 60 days versus a brand new hotel that's charging $47. It doesn't make any sense. I don't care how you break it down.
Right, but I don't think
something's got to be, then we got to clean something up before we do
we got to clean it up, because the kitchen doesn't pay, some of it doesn't pay, I don't know what the bar pays separately.
You think this place doesn't have a kitchen? This hotel suites doesn't have a kitchen? Doesn't have, I mean, they have a pool. I mean, they have irrigation.
I'm just saying that hotel thing isn't as easy as it looks. Now, I agree with you totally.
I don't see an argument, so I don't know. Something's got to be cleaned up.
We need to look at it.
The policy issue here, though, is ownership. If A&T Investments owned the hotel, then they would pay an equivalency factor tied to the meter, 5 to 7 base units. Because the hotel was condominiumized and has been sold to, I don't know, I'll pick a number, say 15 different owners.
All right. So how do we fix it?
Well, you can either do one or the other. The intent behind Mr. Truckey's motion that was last year was to recognize that previously every owner, whether it was a hotel or a single-family unit, they all were contributing $1,440 a year to subsidize the utility system. So the new base rate is solely based on replacing that former revenue service.
Okay, but our revenue
Is
rate,
it high? Yes, it's very high.
what's our revenue over, what we were expected right now? Or what our expenses are? Last month it was like 300-some thousand.
We were gonna do that, and we were gonna analyze that in June, so.
June isn't gonna be fast enough. We'll never, somebody's gonna analyze this by June?
Isn't that what we said, we were gonna look at it again?
Well, if we're going to look at it, I need a little direction to look at it this year. And my question is going to be, my expenses are my expenses. And
Exactly.
if we're no longer going to subsidize the unit with taxes or assessments, then the money's got to come from somewhere. And in this particular year, it's coming from the new base rate.
I understand that, but we're way over. You said, as far as, what we collected this year.
We're way over on base rates, but we did a survey and we published it in the utility bills. It was 2 cycles ago. We surveyed all of the utilities in Southwest Florida, and we're in the middle. I think we were either 5 or 6 in terms of total rate and for water and sewer. So we don't have the, we're right in the middle of the 12 different utilities that were surveyed.
Well, I think we're right in the middle as far as a residential unit. But I don't think we're right in the middle for a commercial or something like this.
Well, if it were just a commercial, then they would only be paying the 5 units. But if there are, I'm just going to pick a number and say that there are 17 different owners at the hotel, based off of the rates that were adopted, they're paying 17 base rates.
You talking including all the other mini hotel condominiums? What are they paying?
They're the same thing. There's 3 different meters over there. They're all 2-inch meters, and on average, there are 20 plus or minus units that are tied to each one of those 2-inch meters. And then what I call the hotel building includes not only the bar and the restaurant, but it also includes the units, the hotel units that are upstairs, and they're being charged based off of the actual number of units as opposed to the equivalents.
The 2-story building, all the condominiums all the way around the outside.
Yeah, but I thought we were charging them at 1. We're charging them as a residential unit.
We are, but before they were just subsidized to their 2-inch.
Right, I know, but I think when we did that, we went all the way too far.
Well, I know at the time Mr. Truckee felt strongly about this because of the way that the ownership interest and the taxes that were previously paid to support the the utilities.
It looks like we're dumping on them. But it just looks like we're dumping on them if that's how many ever units are there. I mean, that's just not acceptable. I'm sorry, we gotta readdress, we gotta look at that again, we gotta break it down a little better as far as the number of units that are actually there and what we're charging versus what it would be if you changed it back to the size of the
I don't want to overcomplicate this, but because aside from the base rate, the only other revenue stream that we have is the consumption rate per 1,000 gallons.
Right.
And so the only other alternative, from my perspective, would be we're going to have to raise everybody's rates in the community on the consumption side.
Oh, absolutely.
To offset the taxes that were previously paid by the owners of the hotel or the marina.
Right, but we need to reduce the base rate too. Well, I just told you we're the lowest rate. We have the lowest usage rate anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, say an average house uses, I don't know, 45,000 gallons. We're only what, 30% of what they charge in the county.
Yeah,
So maybe we need to go up there.
You're going to pay it in your meter, or you're going to pay it in your water, but you're going to pay it.
Yeah, but I want it to be equitable. In other words, what we're doing is the people that don't use much water are getting overcharged. It has to be more consumption, more on the consumption side.
But they used to pay $1,400 a year on their tax bill. Same.
I never said that was right either.
Okay. I'm just saying,
So that's how we started getting the rate that we got. We based it on the $1,400. So, and
If I may, Neil, we started this conversation last meeting. We talked about the $300,000 we had in excess this year of our budgeting, right? So if you take the 300,000 and you took $50 off the base charge every 2 months and made it instead of a 256, we'll take $56 off, make it a $200 base rate. So it's $100 a month for your water or for your base rate, okay? For both water, sewer, everything. You're dropping that base rate by $56 to get it down to 200. That is going to be about $300,000. And that's about, we're actually over a little bit more than that. So I was preparing to talk about this later, but if we lowered that base rate by the $56 every 2 months, that is going to make it take up the difference that we have in access with our billing. And I think that our gallon per rate, we're right in there kind of on that. We're probably median on the charge per gallon, but we are definitely high on the base rates compared to our neighbors.
so we could lower the base rate
I think we're too low in the consumption.
and raise the water consumption.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know that we have to raise the consumption right now. If we have the access billing we talked about in excess, if we look at what we have and lowering that base rate, it's a wash. I don't know that at this time we have to raise the consumption, but we can. A couple cents a gallon makes the difference in the consumption. But it's really more, I think personally, right now, we could lower the base rate and see where that puts us. I think we're going to be okay if the numbers we had last month are right. I think we could do that.
My opinion is if we don't change the base rate, if we don't change the consumption rate, I definitely agree that we have to change the base rate. But if we don't change the consumption rate, somebody like me that has a pool that I fill once a month in the summer, or not in the summer, in the winter and whatnot, because it's always, I'm getting the advantage more than a condo. Okay, because I'm filling that water cheap. Even when I go up to where other places would have a higher rate, that's to the advantage of a single homeowner. Okay, more than anybody. It's just, I think the rates have to change.
I think we need to lower one and raise one a little bit.
Right, we definitely have to lower the base rate. It's just not fair. So.
Okay, so where would you like to see the base rate?
I'm fine with that, taking that $56 off and seeing where we are. If you don't want to change the water rate until after that, but if we need money, once we get to a certain point, then the rates go up. We change the rate rather than the base rate.
Totally agree. Consumption rates would go up.
Yes.
Two quick points. At mid-year, we're like $156,000 over budget, assuming everybody pays. The hotel condo and the marina condo have not yet paid their bill with the new base rate. So, that would be an issue. But if they paid their rates for the remainder of the year, then we would be about $330,000 over budget.
At the 6-month mark.
The 6-month mark, we're $165,000 over budget, assuming that they pay those rates.
So I took, for the math on this, I took 900 doors. Now I know we have 800 something. I didn't have an exact number, but I took 900 doors at the $56 and then multiplied that by 6 because that gives you your yearly cost, right? And that's $302,000. And if we're over budget $300,000 on an annual basis, if they all pay their bill, taking the $56 off would wash that. All right.
Yeah, I don't have the actual number of customer information with me, but assuming that, then and if that's the consensus of the board, and you want to reduce the base rate and then reevaluate this at the end of the year, I think that's appropriate.
When does the next utility bill go out?
We just mailed the March, April bills.
Okay, so just from a order of operations standpoint, we have to notice the reduction hearing in the utility bill. So so we have to, whatever the first meeting is after the next bill is when you can actually vote to reduce the.
And that applies whether we're lowering the rate or raising the rate. So we still got to give them notice that we're going to lower the rates.
Yes.
Okay. I can then go
Russ,
back
does that work for you, Russ? The numbers, are you, that's what I looked at.
A 20% reduction is going to be good.
Yeah.
But it's still not right for the hotel. I don't know. I don't know how the hotel and everything is banned out between all those buildings and everything. But based on it's still $200 per room. The hotel.
I agree. I totally agree with you, Russ, that that's high, definitely high per room, but I think we'd actually have to do some work on looking at all the portions of the hotel, of what we charge them and the ones we don't charge at all, and that kind of thing to look at, to see where we're at with the hotel.
Do we need some kind of accountant to break that down and look at that to give us exactly what's going on? Because I'm sure as hell not going to figure that out.
I don't know. You're familiar with Kyle, the guy that runs the mountains and mangroves?
I know.
Okay, Kyle is working with the owner of the hotel right now on some things, and I think that I don't know how far to go into that, but I think that we should talk to Kyle. He is going to be able to give you the numbers you're looking for on that.
All right, go back and revise. Since this is a decrease, I think we can do this at the next meeting without the notice.
That's why I asked.
Yeah.
So you don't need to wait to the end of the summer.
We can do
decreasing the rates. You can do that at the next meeting.
We don't have a resolution.
I will recalculate, and I think your intent, the current base rate per unit bi-monthly is $256. Your suggestion is to reduce it by $50. $56, make it flat 200 bi-monthly.
Right.
Yes.
It's specifically, it's just to be tied to as much as possible to the actual overage, because these need to be based on, you set this based off of a consultant's recommendation, and so we're reducing it based off of a perceived budget overage. So as much as it could match that, as opposed to round numbers, I would suggest that.
It's contingent on those two entities, the marina condo and the hotel condos, continuing to pay their bills. They have not paid their most recent bill.
Kind of understandable.
Either one.
Yeah.
So at the next meeting, we can bring forward a resolution that reduces the base rate by the overage, essentially. And then that would go into effect immediately, so going right into the next cycle.
Okay. I'm okay with it. Do we need any type of...
Since we're not voting on it today, I just need to make sure that we have, that's what the agreement is between all of you. Yes. And if there's anything further you want to say about that, we should talk about it now before we come forward with resolution.
The appropriate motion then would be for you to authorize the chairman to sign the resolution with the reduction in the base rate bi-monthly by $56, and for me to recalculate that and send that budget to the county following that.
I'll make that motion.
You understand? So is somebody prepared to make that motion?
Dan just.
I did.
And
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So the general fund budget remains as submitted. The revenue side of the utility budget will be adjusted by the reduction of base rates to the tune of $56 bi-monthly, which will be $336 per unit per year. Understood.
So that motion was as to the preliminary budget.
The tentative budget, you're going to formally adopt that budget on your meeting in July, which is July the 16th.
And formally adopt the rate change at the meeting.
Who's going to be here in July?
Well, let's do scheduling at the end.
Okay.
But we do need to talk about scheduling.
Yeah.
I'm down to item C now, the building update, and in working with the board's liaison, who's Mr. Baird. Thus far, we have we have spent $48,000. I was handed some additional receipts for reimbursement while we were here for the new air conditioner, the roof-related repairs, the demolition and re-erection of some of the kitchen cabinetry, and some minor repairs to the plumbing and the electricity in this building. On a separate electrical invoice, there were costs to run a new service out to the median in front for the landscape or signage work that the board separately authorized. The direction that you gave me was to spend up to $54,000 for credits against our $1,500 per month lease. And so it appears that I'm going to need about 5% more, or another $5,400 to finish based off of the invoices that I have in the system, or that might come in. You know, I haven't calculated the ones that are here today. Kevin, are you aware of any other invoices other than ones that I have in hand?
I think that probably the tile, where they redid the tile. And then we're in the process of quoting for painting the outside of the building. And I think the monument arch.
Okay, my suggestion would take us to $59,400, and it would be offset by the $54,000 in lease credits. But if we're also going to paint the outside of the building, we may want to increase that to, say, a total of $62,000.
Some of the.
I'm trying to calculate this on the fly.
Some of those will be.
I've taken that out. The electrical costs that were roughly $6,000 for all the work outside that are not related to the building, but the signage and the landscape median, that's not part of this total.
Okay, so painting will be like $3,500.
Okay.
Make that in. Monument will be outside that.
So I've got 6,000 remaining in capacity, and probably another 6,000 for exterior painting, and a little bit of work, you said, Kevin, for tile.
Yeah,
so that takes me back to the $60,000.
Okay. Yeah, that's about right.
I'm okay with it increasing it.
Yeah, you make a motion.
I make a motion that we increase the amount to $62,000.
I second it. All in favor?
Thank you.
Now that all gets applied to the rent, right?
$54,000 will apply towards rent. The difference is going to be a separate repair and maintenance line item in my budget. And I also have asked Mr. Baird to identify someone who can do the cleaning here. And we've done one cleaning, and I think it was $150. And so as for the remainder of this year, that would be in addition to that $62,000. I'm going to spend some money to clean this building on average. If it's once a month, I presume $150 a month.
If, it may turn out it's not, who knows, but.
That's all right.
Yep. Otherwise, the other costs, the electrical costs are being borne by the owner, and we're not on the hook for those. And the same is true for the, we've made arrangements to have a rollout, a garbage container here as well.
We're not paying electrical?
No.
We don't have one separate.
Right, okay. That's good to know. Just so everybody knows.
Included in the rent.
Yeah. That we're not paying.
I put item D on as an update. At last month's meeting, Mr. Truckee expressed concern over the high level of chlorides in the makeup water from the canal that goes into the irrigation system. I have asked the engineer, there was some discussion about drilling a well that would be upstream of the weir to help replace that source of water if it continues to affect the quality of our irrigation water. The salt content gets so high that we start killing people's landscaping. I haven't received a proposal back, but I wanted you to know that we are working on that. He did tell me preliminarily that there may not be a good source of fresh water in that initial zone. That because of the canal and the weir and the amount of salt water that drifts out into the surrounding groundwater, that we may not be able to get a permit to drill a shallow well to make up that water. He said the same is true for the water that is just immediately north of the weir or on the upside of the weir. His contention is that water is really salty too because it's also being influenced by high tides. But I wanted you to know I have asked him to prepare an estimate and probable cost to permit and drill a well to replace the water that's currently being drafted out of the canal. The 4-inch well.
Neil,
yeah.
Why aren't we looking at it? When I talked to South Florida Water Management, I talked to them about expanding our well field away from all that so we have good water. Is that what you're talking about, adding another well out in our well field?
No, but my impression of what y'all asked me to do last month was to see if we could drill one adjacent to the irrigation pump station. If you think the better long-term solution would be another well, a raw water well in the well field, I would only need to then include the cost to get that water to the pump station, which is on the west side of the bridge and north of 41.
Why we're putting in a new 10-inch line. Our new HDP line will be going in with the grant. All right, that is going to supply the volume we need. If we had another well, I think that we would be able to bring that water in from the well field and we wouldn't have to worry about saltwater intrusion.
I agree. My question is, how do I get that water to the pump station to distribute it through the irrigation system?
The pump station is at our facilities building.
Okay. So what you're saying is then we would just discontinue the use of the pump station that's adjacent to the canal?
Correct.
Okay, all right. I will rephrase then my task to him to give us the cost of a new well to have the capacity of raw water to provide that water in addition to the treated sewage. And we would just decommission the old pump station that's adjacent to the canal.
That's what we do now is that our actual irrigation water is, if Matt was here, he could tell you, but I believe we add more raw water than we have effluent from our reuse water. So a lot of it is unprocessed raw water now. And if it comes in from the well field, it wouldn't change anything. That old pump station, we tried to get a grant to redo that. It didn't go anywhere for the pump station, but that pump station is in dire need of repair. A substantial amount of money. I believe the grant request we put in was $500,000 to rebuild that pump station. So if we can bring something in from the well field, that would take that whole pump station out of there. We wouldn't have to repair that. We wouldn't have to worry about maintenance on it.
Okay, understood. And I'm going to move on just because I'm going to need to leave here in about 35 minutes. So, but I understand what your intent was now, and I'll redirect Jared accordingly. The next item that I have is I'm obligated to report to you for informational purposes only in advance of the qualifying period for the fall general election, where we have 2 seats that are going to be open. I've received a certification from the supervisor of elections that there are 662 active registered voters who reside at the port within the legal description there. No action is necessary. We've provided packets to Ms. Sager if she desires to run for a new term. And Dan, I also have a packet for you that I can scan and email or have hand delivered to you, whatever you prefer.
It's fine.
And the final item that I have today then, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I brought this up during the course of the budget presentation. These are the mid-year financials, or as of March the 31st. At the end of March, the district had $5,700,000 in cash, split between the operating fund, $4,319,000, and the utility fund, $1,380,000. Additionally, the district has $6,917,000 in fixed assets. Those are primarily land and the facilities that are the utility system, in addition to the original road network here that has been completely depreciated at this point. So total assets on hand at the end of March, $12,616,000. On the liability side, there were $63,000 that were outstanding in payables. Looking on the next page, the income statement for the general fund, we did receive some special assessments that came in during the end of March, and we probably will also receive some that came in the final day or two of March and didn't get booked and deposited by the tax collector until the first couple of days in April. But we got $3,583 in March, right before those taxes would have become delinquent. Interest earnings remain high, $11,676 on your investments for the monthly period. Year to date, interest is right at $70,000. Year to date assessments are $657,000. Against a budget of about $815,000. That's about 85% of your annual revenues through the first 6 months. Looking at all the different cost centers year to date, we're $195,000 below budget, and that's primarily because we haven't had any big capital improvements, and we haven't tapped the contingencies for anything. We are going to show some expenses for this building that I previously alluded to, but credits back for the lease payments over the next 3 years. Utility side, much the same. We've talked about the revenues. Expenses year to date on the utility side were $51,000 under budget. And with the one exception of the unanticipated increase in the sludge hauling and disposal, Mitch and Matt are doing a great job of maintaining the system and making the repairs that are separately authorized by the board. So with that, I'll stop and see if you have any questions, or you can entertain a motion to accept those.
Motion to accept financials.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And that takes us down to you, Zach. Anything on the attorney's report?
Yes. I was asked to look at putting together a letter of intent or an offer for the acquisition of the Collier County hotel parcel. As you may be aware, the county considered back in April going out to solicit bids to have the hotel site built on. And that document indicated that they had roughly $390,000 worth of costs into the property. This comes from demolishing structure, cleaning up the site. There was a tax deed cost. And so what I'm looking for direction here, which would be in the form of a motion and also discussion, is if you all do want to make an offer on this property, it would in some sense be unsolicited. This is not part of the ITM process. It would be just making an offer directly to the county for the acquisition.
Otherwise, who knows what's going there?
Yeah.
At least if we bought it, we control it. we want to sell it with all kinds of deed restrictions, we can. But, hey, it's a place historical.
That ties into what are we doing with this property over here? Do we want to look at, like he brought up, he's looking at purchasing it, do we have to get an assessment on it? And,
Well,
I mean, originally my perception was that it was always thought that we could sell it, that we were going to sell it.
Right.
So depending on the use,
Right.
at least that way we could say yes or no
We
to
wanna-
whatever's going in.
Yeah, we want to be able to control it.
So it's the
Do we
same
need to
thing.
own another piece of property? No.
Yeah.
No. But at least if we own it, the county can't put anything they want on it.
Right.
And we can decide.
No, I'm for it. I'm for it, but I'm also,
Yeah, I think we
because
don't want to be.
we're gonna have to make a decision at the
Yeah,
same
then
time.
we have to look into what
Yeah.
Putting that up for sale,
Right.
or taking offers anyway. So we should know what,
But I think we should acquire it first and then decide.
yeah,
Not make any decisions either way, just acquire it.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, if we can get it for $390,
be great.
yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what, we certainly, Neil, if you want to, I think you've had some conversations with the county about numbers.
I've spoken twice to the deputy county manager. Their actual out-of-pocket expenses for the code enforcement case and subsequent demolition of the old hotel were $388,000. They're always quick to tell me that there is an outstanding tax lien that was on that parcel previously, and it's $1.2 million in taxes that have been unpaid. And I said, yeah, we lost a bunch of money also because they didn't pay their assessment. So I'm not optimistic that we should, or anyone will, for that matter, reimburse the county for taxes that were lost in years that they couldn't sell the certificates. But their actual out-of-pocket costs are $388,000.
Still losing money.
The last time the hotel was sold, it was sold for $2 million.
It was
2.2 million.
something in that space, but obviously it was improved, it had a hotel on it. I mean, just a little bit from their executive summary, it's a 6.86 acre site. The county's advertising it as 16 units per acre for 110 residential units. And what they're specifically looking for is they want a developer to come in and work with them to build affordable housing on the site. That's their specific, that's what their thought is currently. So as far as what they plan to do, it's something along those lines. What that actually looks like, pretty open-ended, because the way they did this is they didn't go out and say, who wants to give us the highest price? They said, who wants to work with us to build what we want on this site? Right. So we don't really know anything more than that. But my recommendation is, if you're considering this, that you would authorize Neil to issue a letter of intent with a generalized number in it, so that you can get feedback as to, is this remotely acceptable. Some of the trickiness here is the county meets twice a month, you only meet once a month. So they're in fact meeting this upcoming Tuesday, and then we'll meet, and because of this sequence, they might actually meet 3 times before you meet again. So it's a little tricky as far as the back and forth communication between the boards, and I don't know priority-wise when they're going to move this forward. They initially tried to move this forward at their last meeting on April 28th, but I think did not, is my understanding. And so typically I would expect something like a letter of intent as opposed to a full-on real estate offer, but it's your judgment call, and we want to make sure that Neil confirms where the funding is coming from.
We gotta do something.
Yeah, I think
So they want to put 110 unit affordable housing on that.
That's their current.
Yeah.
And they wanted, so that their executive summary indicated that they wanted units. So when we say affordable housing under Florida law, what we're talking about is percentages off of area median income. In Collier County, this number is very high. So the most recent tables put the AMI number at $120,000 a year. Affordable housing can be 120% of that number. So what they're specifically looking for is units below 60% of area median income, as opposed to a lot of affordable housing projects in the county are actually being built at 100 and 120% of the $120,000 number. So they're trying to push for a more, what I would call a true affordable housing product on this site. But they don't, we don't know we've not seen any responses, right? We don't know what is realistic here. They're just pointing out, here's the site, 6 acres, it's zone residential tourist, it can have 110 units.
Well, what also comes along with that affordable housing would be borne cost to us for some of the roads and stuff. They won't be paying for that because of the affordable housing.
The district's not going to, even if the county stays on as an owner, if these turn into livable units, there's going to be an ability to recover than your normal processes.
Okay.
So it's not, the time when you can't do that is right now. When the county owns it as vacant land, the background law is essentially it just sits there. Other governments can't tax it. But when it gets developed, and if it's not for government purposes, so if they put for some reason like a fire station here, that wouldn't do anything for you. But this would do something for you from a revenue standpoint. But obviously you have no input in the process, and we don't know exactly what they will do. We also have no idea what the response would be. And it is accurate to say that both you, the district, and the county suffered substantial, what I would call contribution losses through this process. So while they feel they're at 1.2, you're probably at a similar number.
So we're gonna make the offer.
Yeah, or whatever.
I thought maybe like.
I don't know whether we give them an actual offer or an intent. Intent.
No, we get an offer.
I don't know.
I said about 450. Maybe it'll make it.
So
just,
350.
you know?
If we give them 390, they at least make $2,000.
I don't want them to laugh.
Oh, 450? No.
That's what
Why
you
not?
said.
I don't care. I mean,
I think we should offer them no more than what they have in it in the demo, and then because we lost as much money as they did. When you look at their tax losses, we lost at least that much money in it. I think that if we offer them to pay for the demo and the money they have in it, that's fair across the board. Remember, we are an arm of government. It's going from one government entity to another.
yeah.
So we'll make it for them.
Do we even have enough ARCs to support another 110 houses?
Yeah, we do.
So if you were to offer what they stated as their cost from the executive summary, that would be $389,683.80.
Don't you just make it
Just
400?
make it 400, call it good.
Call it a day. You know they're not going to take it either one,
I know.
so.
But we're in there.
Right.
At least they'll talk to us.
So my recommendation, if you were going to go forward with the offer itself, is you would still be asking for at least a 60-day due diligence so that you could do an environmental site assessment. And we're obviously not going to, it would be closed in the ordinary course. There would be a title search, there would be environmental due diligence. And if it turned out that was not satisfactory in that process, then you just wouldn't close.
Right.
Okay.
So just for clarification, the motion would be to make an offer for $400,000 to the county to acquire 12323 Union Road, Naples, Florida. Typically, we do 10% down payments, but because it's government to government, I don't know that that's necessary here, so we can just leave that at 0.
Right.
And then I'm giving them until, what I would suggest doing is giving them until June 10th to respond to the offer, because they need to also meet in the way that you're doing, and that gives them 2 meetings because they've already posted their agenda for next week. They did not consider this on Tuesday, in which case they have another meeting to consider it. And then, like I said, 60-day due diligence, 30-day close after due diligence, and I would strongly advise doing an environmental site assessment if they were to accept and you were all to move forward.
Do you think we should go to the meeting that this will come up at? Somebody should go
It
there?
would be wise to attend that meeting and to plead the case, because again, I assume what the county expects is to make more than just what they spent into it. And so there will probably have to be some explaining as to why you think they should give you this for their cost in. It's my suggestion, and I don't know, I'm not speaking on the county.
We need to get.
I mean, we have to give them a reason when we make an offer?
You don't have to do anything, but if you want them to accept your offer, I
Yeah.
would expect that they would need some kind of reason, because from their perspective, this is, they spent $388,000 worth of taxpayer dollars, which included your taxpayer dollars, to demolish that site. And so, yes, you would be reimbursing them. On the other hand, if they get a developer partner involved, they're going to make the spread, not you. If you get a developer involved, you're going to make the spread.
Right.
So that I assume would require some explanation, some
Yeah, I think
confirmation.
somebody
that
needs to go there and plead their case.
you all lost revenue as well, that you're the most interested parties here because it's going to impact you the most, these sort of things.
When's the next meeting?
The next meeting's Tuesday, but I don't know whether they...
No, the meeting you think they'll talk about
I think
this.
it's June 9th, let me look.
And the reality
June
is that the staff probably has an inflated sense of what they think that property is worth, but we're just trying to see if they were interested in, some more serious negotiations. Their recommendation was rejected by the county commission. They had intended for this to be workforce housing. They had it on the consent agenda, which means it would have been reviewed and approved with no discussion. The 8th commissioner pulled it off the consent agenda, put it on the regular agenda, and the motion that was made was to reject the affordable or workforce housing proposal of the commission, at which point the deputy county manager contacted me and said, if your client is interested, this may be the opportunity for you to suggest an alternative.
Yeah.
So just to go back, so for record clarity, the motion I'm suggesting is to make an offer for 12323 Union Road for $400,000 with 60-day due diligence and a 30-day close after due diligence.
I'll make the motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anything else,
Can I figure out who's going?
That's, if they put those 110 units.
Oh, yeah, I do have just, so, you should figure out now who's going to go, so that you could, because you cannot discuss this not here, so there's one, and I think it's important that a supervisor go.
Only one person can go.
Yeah. But whoever feels the most strongly about this.
When is it going to be?
It's either going to be this upcoming Tuesday, but more likely June 9th.
It's going to be following.
Yeah, June 9th.
The agenda has been closed for this particular meeting, so.
You give me something to say, I'll say it. I don't, what our plans are.
I was gonna say, I'll be in June too, so between the two of us, one of us will go.
I think we should decide that now.
Okay, my anniversary.
Probably.
I'm not getting on the bad side of it. I'll go.
Okay, I think it makes sense as chairman that you would attend.
I'll go.
And then the other thing I wanted to clarify is just on over the summer months, obviously people take trips. I want to make sure that since we have a series of consequential items coming up that we have quorum. As a reminder, quorum means 3 in person. 2 of you could be potentially remote depending on extenuating circumstances, but if we could just go over the June meeting right now, it would be June 18th.
Yeah, I'll be here.
I will not be here.
I'll be here.
Chair Hansen?
I'll be here. Just wait a minute.
This is for your meeting on June 18th.
June 18th, I'll be here.
And then Mr. Truckee?
Likely won't.
Well, so it would be 2 remote, 3 in person, which is possible, but if one of the in-persons has an issue, the meeting won't be able to happen. So
I'll
I just
definitely be here.
want to make sure that we're clear, because that's the meeting when you're going to reduce the utility rates. I think it's important that we have certainty as to that meeting. But if everyone's comfortable with the 3 of you that are going to be in person, then we can move
And then the
forward.
more important date is July the 16th, which would be the final budget adoption.
I will be here.
You're here July?
I am.
I'm not sure.
I'm not. I mean, if I have to fly back, I will, but
I don't know, I have to look at the calendar.
Mr. Truckee, are you here on July 16th?
Can be.
Okay, so 1, 2, Mr. Baird is 3, Russ is a maybe, and Chair Hansen's a no.
16. I think I'll be here. I'm pretty sure I'll be here. That'll be it, though.
Okay, and then August, just while we're doing this, is August 20th.
yeah, I'll be here.
I
I'll
won't.
be here.
I won't.
Mr. Baird
I'll be here.
and Mr. Truckee.
Here.
Okay, so I think we should be good. It sounds like we have at least 3 at every single meeting for the next 3 months. And if for any reason supervisors that changes, it's imperative.
Yeah, I'm good with August.
In August.
I'm good with August.
It's in-
I only have a question. If I get reelected in November, I don't know that I'm gonna be able to be here.
Okay, we can deal, well, I think a 3-month look ahead is good.
You would typically be sworn in the December meeting.
Okay.
And then my last.
Yeah, I can Zoom. I just wanna make sure no one else is gonna be gone, or else I'm gonna have to change flights.
If any of you have any questions regarding anything in public comment or anything that we discussed today, I'm available to answer them. Otherwise, we can move on to the next item.
The next item, I'm just putting a question on the 2018 arena case, since now we have numbers. Are you going to proceed forward with that?
Yeah, I believe that we now have a basis to move forward with that. And what I'm going to check with Neil on before bringing that for full motion is just the timing of the approval of that. But you now have numbers, so I think that resolves the primary concern.
Good.
That takes us down to supervisor requests, and if you don't mind, I need to leave to make that meeting. Mr. Sparasio will be here to the end of the meeting, take the courtroom, leave my materials if you call back. But thank you for your effort today, and I'll see you soon. Okay, we're down to supervisors' requests.
Question. Mr. Barrett, do you want to talk anything about the median out there on 41, where we're at with that? I thought we had kind of come to a motion on that before, but evidently not. Whether we're going to maintain that or not.
We talk about it many times. We talk about it whether, reverting it back to the county, just not doing anything with it at all, or just maintaining it as it is. And we left it as it is, and that's where it is right now.
Well, my opinion on the median, we're not going to get, because it's a contract that we have to maintain that. If we don't, while we have the contract, the state or the Naples or the county aren't going to do anything, aren't going to negotiate with us to spend money there unless we get out of the contract. And then they'll take a look at it, I would guess. But while we're under contract, they're not going to touch it. So I think we have to not take care of it. We have to return it to grass. And then if we want to go to the county or something to beautify the median, that at that point, they'd probably take a look at it. They don't want to, but because they do county roads all over Naples, I think that we have a good chance that they'd have to negotiate in good faith to do something here.
They're not gonna. The city county's not gonna take it over. We've been doing this a million
They
times.
seem not interested at all.
No, they're not. And if they do, we're gonna pay for it. So.
They said that if they were even to look at it, we would have to return it. And they didn't guarantee that they'd even look at it. They just seemed not interested at all.
And we'll pay for it. If they maintain it, we're gonna pay for it. That's what they told me.
So I'd say let him make a motion, see if he gets a second, we'll go from there.
Return it to grass. The major palm trees there would be fine. The bushes, those short shrubs go, and some of those little tree things go away. But it really doesn't. I don't know. I don't think it changes it that much. If we wanted to plant more palm trees in there, royal palms or something, we could do that. But I think that trying to water it, maintain it, mow it, trim it all the time is $35,000 a year is just money we don't need to spend.
Maybe we can zero-scape it or something that, is something that doesn't need much maintenance and change the contract.
Okay, we're running over, so can we table this and move on?
Yeah, it's not critical.
Okay.
Okay.
Under supervisor's report, we have someone that wants to talk about parcel 13. You're up, dude. Parcel 13?
I can't hardly hear you, Emily. Go on the time. Somebody said parcel 13.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hi, want to introduce yourself, please?
My name is Owen. I'm not going to take too much of your time. I'm a developer. My partner, Andy Jones, sitting over there in the back, he's from Phoenix Construction. We develop 80% of all retail, commercial centers in Naples. We've done quite a few projects together. My wife Leanne is here. We're doing pretty much everything together. She happened to be an attorney and a CPA and a mother. And then we have our banker, Ronaldo there, who is going to finance the project if it comes to fruition. So basically, the opportunity was given to us about 10, 12 years ago about purchasing the large parcel right next to the shooting range. We made an offer, somebody else made a bigger offer, and they ended up buying it. And I believe it's the same person who purchased the lot with the shooting range. Before I go any further, I'm well aware that the current owner, Lindsay, and you guys, there is a lawsuit pending, so again, I'm very well aware of it. Zach also present my wife and I in another letter, and so we waived the conflict of interest. But basically what we're proposing to do is luxury RV. We believe it's going to be, if we do it the right way, the nicest one in the country. He will have about 300, maybe 305 lots that will be individually owned, fee simple. Make no mistakes, those owners or future owners are very high wealthy individual. Those RVs range between $1 million up to $3 million. We're planning on doing, like I said, 300 spots with a state-of-the-art clubhouse. I think it's going to have 9 holes, with golf course. We actually have one copy that I can give you guys. Yeah. So this is really what it's going to look like. Entry with an offices, welcome centers, basically. Large clubhouse with commercial pool. The clubhouse will have all the bells and whistles. We're also planning on purchasing the 3.1 acres that you guys own, if it's something we can walk out. And we're also planning on putting a bid on the 7 acres that the county owns. So what you see here is basically includes the 7 acres that the county owns.
When you say 7 acres, are you talking about the old hotel property?
I'm sorry?
You're talking about the old hotel property?
Yes.
Why would you guys ask to buy the, you're gonna buy?
Because he had made an offer. So this is going to session in 2 weeks, within the 40 hours.
Too much talking, folks. We can't hear anything online.
Stop, when you're talking, take one at a time, please.
Will that camera pick that up?
We'll take a picture of it.
Just so they can see it.
Share it, but there's no way to, put it in front of the camera and have it display.
Okay, so as far as the 3.1 acres concerned, I know that you guys are in great need of a nice restaurant. We will construct what we call a yacht club, where people can get together. It will be open to obviously our buyers as well as the community. It's not on the regular, the 3.1 acres.
She wanted to transfer the camera.
He passed it, so we will.
Everyone needs to see it, what it's gonna look like.
I don't know that.
So it looks pretty massive.
back, please.
Got it.
You can pass it around here, so it tells you
They
pretty much
have
everything that.
handouts there, Liliana. They have handouts.
Well, the people on the camera will not see it.
I don't know that you can see it that far away, but
No, not that one. It's small.
We've already extended an offer to Lindsay, to our attorney, to his attorney. It's pretty difficult to deal with, as I'm sure you know. He basically wants it closed in a week, and no contingencies, and he wants to be released out of his liability, obligation of the, I think it was $1.6 million. What we're willing to do is, obviously subject to us closing on the property, we'll put pretty substantial hard deposit with the water district, and then we can walk the language with Zach on the future obligation.
so you're trying to buy the property from Lindsay right now, is that what you're asking?
I'm sorry?
You're trying to purchase
The 52 acres, the 7 acres, and the 3.1 acres.
Okay.
It's all one package? If one of them falls off, does the whole thing fall apart?
So I think our strategy, with your blessing, will be to purchase we can get into agreement with the county to at least get under contract with the 7 acres, the 3.1 acres, subject to us buying the big, because we'll be willing to close in a week or two when we have those secure. We met with the county already, told them about the project. They were more than excited, very positive about what we want to do. Obviously, we're going to have to reinstate the original zoning that would allow us to do RV. Right now it's zoned, I believe, for 114 single-family homes. In a way, we're kind of taking a chance, but we don't feel like we feel very confident that we can get it reinstated. And I think it's going to be a great thing for the community and for everybody else.
How would you address the case that we have against Mr.
I'm sorry?
We have we have litigation in the case. That he owes money, so you would be willing to take that over as well?
Yeah. We've already talked to Rule from the shooting range. I think there may be, and I'm hoping that I'm not getting ahead of myself, an opportunity for us to purchase all or portion of that as well.
So just for board context, their negotiations with Mr. Case are not really up to you, but what you do have is you have a restrictive covenant on that entire parcel that is contrary to what you were just shown. So the board would have to weigh in on amending the restrictive covenant because you did not authorize that sort of build out through the restrictive covenant. Additionally, there's the ongoing ERC issue, which is currently taking the form of the lawsuit against the case. That would have to be resolved as well for anything to take place on this property. These are discretionary items on your end. As to the hotel site, it sounds like they have also made an offer to the county. You just moved to tell me to make an offer to the county, and I don't know if you want what to do about that, but we're making the offer unless you say otherwise. But that's between all the parties in the county. As to your parcel that you own, you heard interest from another party today in this meeting as to acquiring that parcel. You've not declared that surplus property, and so there would need to be some further discussion about how you're going to move forward with something along those lines. This is similar to when MI Homes was under contract with Mr. Case. They came to your board meeting and told you, here's what we want to do, because they also wanted to change the deed restrictions. They didn't like what Lindsay Case negotiated for. So my expectation is anyone who buys parcel 13 or tries to buy parcel 13 will be at a board meeting, because they will, I can't imagine anyone being willing to build exactly what Lindsay wanted to build. So even if MI Homes, who wanted to build single family, they still came before you. So as far as the flow and what can or needs to happen here, they're not under contract. When they're under contract, presumably they're going to make an offer to you all to address these items. I think today was just to kind of make it aware that they're out here and looking at this, and I think they're trying to get some feedback from you as to this process. But again, because there are multiple parties across all three of these properties, we will need to make sure that this all goes through the appropriate channels as far as considering all options. So we're not today in any sort of position to make any kind of decisions. The point was just, I think, that they wanted to come and introduce themselves, explain that something they're seriously considering, and then be available to answer questions you may have more in the exploratory sense, but sort of in the same way that you heard from the gentleman earlier who also expressed an interest in your property.
Well, my first thought is his offer is going to exceed ours by a lot, probably for that.
But we don't know that.
Well,
Yeah, until it's a done deal.
I don't know.
We should still leave ours out there.
I mean,
As a board, I think we have to move forward with our offer to purchase the property, because we don't know what's going to happen with this whole offer that we just talked about.
Okay, I just didn't know if we delayed it or whatever.
No.
Okay. It's fine.
Thanks,
Okay.
should we all say what we feel then?
Certainly. Any
I
comments?
think it's a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I never thought they could fit a golf course out there.
That would be great.
The golf course, and the gun part would dissipate or go away, yes.
That'd be nice.
That'd be nice.
So.
And 300
And-
units, collecting 300 units.
And
It's pretty good.
they're $1 million, I mean, we're not talking low income, we are talking $1 million.
That aren't going to be there all year long anyway.
Yeah, I mean, to me, wouldn't that build everything up? I mean,
You've seen the one down the street on 41 that has the $1 million units in it?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
You know, these last time they suggested doing that in the contract, it didn't say luxury. Better make sure it says luxury, because otherwise they can do anything in here. That was a problem last time.
That's not what it says, luxury could be $100,000 or $1 million. Who sets the price on
The
that?
language was very key.
Rowan? Hello?
Yes, excuse
I have a question. Oh, we
Yeah,
have a
rules
public
now, and people are gonna, they should step up here, give them their name.
Okay, we haven't got them.
And speak loud enough,
Right.
we can hear what's going on. Thanks.
I have a question. You're going to sell these lots? Rowan, are you going to sell these lots? They're not going to be rental lots, right?
No, the owner, yeah, we're very
What is the average cost per lot?
ballpark.
Are we talking 50,000
It's sort of
or 500?
around 250,000
Yeah,
on the average.
okay. So we're going to put $50,000 fifth wheel on it. Okay.
I'm a little bit of a hard hearing, so I can hear you clearly.
Okay. All right. We're up to public comment. Unless somebody on the board has something else to say.
Just one moment up, so, the price that I'm talking about is just for the lot.
Right.
And then probably 70% of the future buyers are going to add value by buying and building casitas.
Yeah.
And they're going crazy. Everybody's trying to outdo the other. So it's not unusual that those lots may sell in the future for anywhere between 850 to $1 million to a minimum.
Yeah. Okay. Public comment? Leanne?
Yeah, I just want to know how
Different
much.
than-
Absolutely. How many minutes am I allowed to speak? 5 minutes, and then can I do another 5 afterwards?
No.
Oh, so it's only 5 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, first of all, I sent you all an email, and I did not receive any kind of response from that. I sent it on May 5th. On May 7th, I heard that there was a closed meeting. Was that being discussed?
No.
Okay. So, just so I understand what the CID's role here is, are you in the business of owning real estate? Are you in the business of creating HOAs? Because as far as I understand, if there's a lot that's available that someone wants to purchase, you've told them that there's going to be some kind of process in place for that, right? So he can't just come forward and, purchase that lot to build his business. But yet, you have the power to decide on purchasing an old hotel area and give them a price, a fixed price. Now, what's concerning is that there's a gentleman back here who doesn't owe any explanation to anyone here, but he can build because he can purchase the lot on his own, so he can do whatever he wants. So your idea of controlling the lots here, it almost doesn't make sense because you can't control it. Just, that's an example of how you can control it.
Deed restrictions,
Okay,
so we can't control it.
that's fine, but why is it that the CID is purchasing land without kind of consulting with the community? Why is the CID making decisions on a community clubhouse without kind of consulting with the community? And there are a couple of things, and I took notes, but I know I only have 5 minutes, but in terms of, someone raised a question about landscaping and why can't we, get bids out? Shouldn't we get bids out every year for all the services that the CID has sent out? I mean, from my understanding, there should be about 3 bids for any kind of service job. I mean, the management company today just decided to give themselves a 2.8% raise. I mean, that's fair, but do we have any other bids for, to consider a different management company next year? In terms of Soto, and I don't know what the price that the person that you have, was that you? I apologize. So in terms of the landscaping, up front on January 12th, I took the initiative to clean up the area. With that, I consulted with Kevin because he is the designated landscaper person here in the community. And he has the authority to sign checks under $5,000, according to Frank. And also has the ability to negotiate with Soto on what needs to be done here in the community. Now, I was told there's really no budget for the entrance, okay? So there was absolutely no budget initially, January 12th. But now, and I stand corrected because I estimated $50,000 for this building. I think you all voted on $62,000 for this building. But the community was told that it wouldn't cost us anything. So, just so everybody is clear, this building is owned by the hotel. So we just invested $62,000 into the hotel, thank you.
That we don't own.
Absolutely. Now,
That
the lot up front.
we aren't paying rent for. Get that out there too. We aren't paying any rent.
No, you're absolutely right. We are paying $1,500 actually because it comes out of that budget. Meanwhile, the real estate company that owned that did business in here only paid $500. And when the community actually in
You give me a
January.
place for $500.
No,
to rent.
when the community in January spoke to the hotel owner said that we could use this space as is for free, which we decided not to do. But going back to my initial, that entire area is owned by the CID. This portion is owned by the hotel. When I specifically had asked January 12th to Kevin to start doing some, cleaning up, basically just, have some lights there. He said that he needed to contract an electrician to be able to put lights out there because we own the lot. And you saw that in my email. I think you saw my text messages. I'm very well documented, by the way, and we have all this information, but they're not sharing with everyone. Kevin went out to find, different electricians and to get a, price. It took a couple of weeks. So I was under the impression that we would, if it's fair to you, I could also read the text messages. But regardless, it's gonna go above you all because obviously no one seems to want to take accountability. But the electrical that's part of that area, we were supposed to get a meter there.
Time's up.
We do have the power. Do we not have a panel there?
They do time's up.
Oh, my time's up. Sorry guys, I can't tell you everything.
Thank you. Okay, so is there any other comments?
Yes, I'm on the phone. I have a comment.
Can we
Just making sure you guys can hear me. Okay.
Hold on 1 second. We can, but let's let Ms. Ma'am speak.
Number one, I realize this is your first meeting here, and so you're getting all the kinks out. Sitting back here, the only person.
Can you talk a little bit louder?
I'm so happy you said that, that is my point.
We had somebody
Sitting back
coming
there,
to look
the
at that.
only person I could hear of you people is Mr. Durrell. Because everyone else, they're like straining to hear. You could hear the people on the TV, and my only point is if you could have microphones. That's number one.
We have an acoustical person coming in to help us with that.
Because you got
Yeah.
much higher ceilings than
Right.
you did before.
Yeah.
So that's not a complaint, it's just a suggestion.
It's a fact.
The number two is, I don't remember her name, she came up here suggesting that a landscaping company offer a request for proposal to do a job. And I just want to ask a few people, I realize this is a tiny portion of who are out there. If you could just raise your hand, if you'd be interested in seeing a proposal so that the board will look at these things. Is anyone willing to raise their hand?
We would always look at it.
To have your request for proposal for landscaping. And it looks like a lot of these people don't live here, but it looks like there is an interest. And it used to be, I think, that they used to have requests for proposals for all the different services, and I just don't feel like that's happening. And all I hear at this meeting is it's costing more for this, it's costing more for that. And how are you containing costs? That's all I'm asking.
We would take a request for proposal, but we just don't drop everything the day it comes in. Kevin's in charge of that. When that comes up, Kevin will go with your person and show them what we do.
Right.
And take that request.
Which is
It's
in
just-
September.
We're not gonna do it today.
I understand that, but it didn't appear that that's what you were saying when she was up here speaking. That's all I'm.
That's what I understood, so, yeah, it comes up in September, and we'll probably get all this
She
done.
needs to have.
In August, I would say in August.
Okay. And do you put out asking people to,
Normally they go in the newspaper,
for all the different services?
whatever comes up, yeah.
Yeah, but that's.
Did Kevin put out proposals for the projects that were done here?
We already had a contractor.
Yes, we already had contractors.
No,
for
did
here.
you put out proposals for the
Are
new
you
projects?
speaking? I don't see you up here, somebody else is up here.
No.
Sorry,
Maybe I'm not making myself
Agreed.
clear. All I'm asking is for the different positions that you hire companies to come in and do work for you. Do you send out requests for proposal each year or when the contract ends for other people?
No.
No? And is there a reason for that?
Yes.
And what's the reason?
The district has a procurement policy that it follows and is not required to do yearly RFPs for all services. However, the board could certainly choose to do yearly RFPs for all services. When the district advertises for bids, that itself is a cost. But we can, if the board wants to, the board may advertise for services whenever they want. In fact, all government contracts typically are terminable pretty favorably towards the government just for budgetary purposes. So if the board wishes to go out to bid for every single contract it has, it may do so.
What's the average cost for that?
Could I just ask one more? You seem to be very informed. When was the last time that we've asked for requests for the different positions?
I don't know of any government that has done a full slate of all positions at one time.
Okay.
I'm unaware of the district having done that. That doesn't mean they haven't done that. I've not been sitting in this chair for that long.
So you worked for the CID for how long?
A year and a half.
Year and a half, so in a year and a half, there's been none.
No, there have been some.
Oh,
There
you
was
have
no,
requested?
yes, we have engineer, my position. There were, I have to go back and look, but it does happen, and the board can certainly do it, and the appropriate time to do that is in the budget cycle, which is the cycle that we're in. And so if the board would like to do that, they may do so.
Thank you. Any other,
I would like to have clarification on Kathy again. So,
If you could please come to the front, state your name for the record.
it's Kathy Olson. So the $35,000 that Mr. Truckee mentioned for the front, is that in consideration with the other gentleman that said it was 127, or is that in addition?
no,
So,
yes, you asked Kevin for that.
It's cost $35,000 a year to maintain the meridian.
is that including the budget for landscaping and maintenance at the 127,000?
Yes.
So that's it all encompassing. But we don't own that property up there, but we're paying $35,000.
We adopted it.
We adopted it, okay. Just clarification, I was a little confusing. Thank you.
Okay, any other?
I'm on the phone. Can I ask a question? Can you hear me okay? My name is Leonardo Ramos. I live in the condo hotel community. And the reason for my the question is, if you have any concerns or questions that you need to find out, just don't ask. I know someone brought up about asking Kyle, the kayak adventure person, about the hotel things. What you need to really ask, because the hotel is part of the association. It's the Port of the Islands Resort Condominium Hotel Association. And we have a property management company, A&Y CAMS, and they're basically, running the things that the association has to take care of, like what you guys are doing, right? So if you're having need to get answers or questions, I would suggest not just asking Kyle, but asking the people that's on the association board. There's 5 people on that board, so any one of those should be able to help you. And also our property management company can help you, find the answers of the questions that you're requesting. Okay, and there was another thing about the per unit. It was $200. I sort of missed that real quick, but was that a $200 per studio apartment that you're charging for water as a base rate, and then you're charging usage? Can you just clarify that a little bit? Anyone? Oh, okay, because that's this is a 300 square feet unit with, let me see, a bathroom sink, a kitchen sink, a toilet, and a shower, okay? And you're charging $200 a month just for base rate, and then usage, all right? I don't know where else can you consider that to be fair when you have other homes that has maybe 2 baths. That's just the baths. And then you have sinks, kitchens, and then you have pools, and then you have whatever else, the water to, water your boats, clean your boats, your cars, or whatever. So I'm just trying to understand, did you have a professional person determine what the proper usage that you be charged for individual units, such as from studios to 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom homes, and whatever else amenities that they have for water usage? I mean, where did you come up with these numbers? That's what I'm a little confused about. You just say a broad stroke saying, okay, we're going to give you a base rate, and then we're going to give you on top of that a usage, but then we took away from taxes. I'm like, okay, well, what do you really get from the taxes?
Okay.
All right.
I will meet with Kyle and you or your association members, because I want to figure this out too. Earlier today, that's what I was talking about. I don't know what's what. Nobody seems to know what's what. So we want to look at that.
It's not $200 a month, it's every 2 months.
Yeah.
So.
Right now we just lowered it to 100.
Right.
Base rate.
All right, any other public comments? You've already had your turn.
Can I yield my time to Ms. Lynn?
No.
Why is that?
Why is that? Do I have to do that?
Mr. Ross, I just
It's
have
not
a
provided
quick
for,
question.
so no.
Mr. Russell?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Hold
on.
How many chairs?
Oh, someone else is.
I'll be here.
Okay, yeah. If Yolanda wants to speak, she's not spoken yet.
Yolanda, do you want to speak, Yolanda?
I just came up with maybe a possible solution to the marina and the hotel, commercial entity total. It was originally back 30 years ago, one entity, and then it split up. I was thinking, they took off the $721 non-ad valorem tax from everyone. So if you just add that back to the 94 units of our association and 177 units of the marina, that would give you 67,000 and 127,000. That would give you 195,000 to put right back in and still charge us the usage. And I think that would be fair.
We'll
Just for those
I need to see all those things. I'll talk to you after. Yeah.
Thank you.
I want to get to the bottom of it too. It's not right.
All right.
What was the ruling for yielding time?
It's not provided for in the rules.
So it can be done?
I would recommend no.
Oh, okay. John Foreman, Orchid Cove. Just want to state, this is the second time the board is purchasing property without getting the property appraised. And I think that's important that we do that, we get quotes when we want to get work done, we get assessments or we get prices from what the property value is before we purchase it.
We just talked about that earlier, that we were going to get it appraised to sell.
Okay.
We thought
it wasn't done on the first property, that's what I thought.
Well, we're going to do it to sell the other property.
Okay, so you can do it to sell the other property,
Yeah.
and then you're going to do it to purchase this property.
That's what his question is. I don't think that's.
Oh.
Well, yeah, I don't think.
You mean that one?
It can be done in due diligence, and you receive this comment, and so you can choose to appraise it in due diligence if the county even accepts your offer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can we adjourn? I think we're running.
Oh, no, we got one more.
Oh.
First of all, I'm Cynthia Alberto. I applaud you in your motion to purchase that property. I have $400,000, and I'm thinking of criticism required to work way more than that. Thank you very much for stepping forward and doing that. And I really think that's the point, just to say that I really support you.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you. I also want to know, once again, about the internet. A lot of you are homeowners. If you guys aren't interested, I don't want to pursue something with a company that just is worthless to you guys. And I do want to get in touch with all the people who are interested in combining together to save money for our community.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to you.
Yeah, I would love fiber.
Okay, let's figure that out. Thank you.
Okay, can I make a?
I already wrote this down because she's.
Yes, she knows me.
Kelly, my Orchid Cove. Couple of questions. Did you all get permits for the work that you did in this building?
We hired contract, well, I'll let you.
But was it permanent work?
Our understanding is all permits that were required were obtained.
Okay.
Everybody was licensed that worked in here.
I'm sorry, say again?
Anybody that had to do anything that required a license was licensed personnel.
Okay. Well, I know the reason I ask is we just had a big kerfuffle across the street with permitting on the lighting situation. I would hate to see you guys have to go through what we went through.
And we actually have an inspection coming soon.
Rectify it. Okay,
Yes.
that's good.
A lot of the things that somebody said earlier is incorrect in every aspect.
Then one other question. Is this building insured, and if so, by whom?
An insurance policy was obtained. I don't know if
Yes,
you,
it
Mr.
is.
Sprouse, you know the name of the insurer, if that's what you're asking.
Is it, so this
Yes,
building's
yes,
insured
we're
for
insured.
liability insurance by the CID?
Yeah,
No, the CID has an insurance policy.
right.
So
Okay.
we're not self-insured.
Okay.
Yeah, we're insured.
Okay. So if something happens here, then you're covered?
Yes.
Okay.
We did that the day we signed the contract.
Okay.
Is there any other?
One other question. I said earlier, are you guys receiving the building rental free where you having your meetings?
We did not allow this lady to speak additionally. We're not going to allow you additionally speaking time. You've had your comment.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Motion we do.
Let me have my 5 minutes. Why didn't you let my have?
Okay, motion.
I'll talk to you anytime you want to talk.